Hello, everybody. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
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 So, chat, welcome to our lovely panel for Epilogue Essentials, Episode 4. I'm sure it was spoiled in the title and everything. Everybody's name is everywhere. Everybody here is going to get 5 minutes to present a game. And as I said, you're going to be able to ask questions afterwards. And I tried to put us in the order that we're presenting, so there's some method to the madness. But we're going to go through, say hi to everybody, and then we'll get started. So, first up, I'm going to say hello to Atham right below me. Hello.
Hello, Yogi. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name's Atham. Like many of you, I play video games on the internet. Sometimes I talk about them. That's, I think, the very basic thing that I have for myself. Tuesdays, I tend to do news-related stuff. Fridays, I like to do retro games. Currently exploring the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Genesis. And then otherwise, on Saturdays, Sundays, I just like to do either multiplayer games or modern games. That's it. That's me.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Next up is Raimi. Hello, Raimi.
Hello. I also do Ironmon like Yogi typically does. I've been streaming for about 3 years now. Sometimes you'll see me in Yogi's chat wasting all my points. People give me points and I gamble them all away. I can't help myself.
It's addictive. I'm sorry.
It is.
Next up is I don't. Have you been around here before? It's Tinker Jinx. I don't know.
Wow.
Wow.
You're gonna do me dirty like that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hi guys, it's Rena or Tinkerjinx, as the label says. I'm also an Ironman streamer turned variety streamer. But I've recently made a bit of a return to Hard Coastal Server Super because of Yogi. And yeah, I'm here to present a bold choice, as Roy has said it, but more to that later.
I've heard the term trolling being thrown around about your choice, so I'm excited.
I mean,
we'll see. Next up is Simi. Hello, Simi. Hi.
Hi, I'm Siminer, one of the Epilogue Gaming staff members. I do stream on occasion, but not that much anymore. I mostly stay in the shadows and emerge once or twice a year to do stuff like this. That's about it.
Yeah, well, happy to have you and have you take part. And hello to Eddie, our last panelist.
Hello. I'm a decentralized synthetic intelligence, and I stream a bunch of variety games and sometimes randomizers.
That's great. And we have in the shadows Roy helping.
Hello. I'm
Hello,
here
Roy.
to help and manage this. I am the co-host with Ben in the other episode, so I'm here.
Roy also got a game in last time and won and is just addicted to winning, so don't be surprised if a surprise 7th game pops up, okay?
Alright. Yeah, but I am bringing Outer Wilds again.
Again?
No, Ocarina of Time, except 3D.
Oh,
the 3DS
yes.
version.
Okay. Ooh. But Roy's been a great help. Honestly, the backbone of this show. A lot of organizational help. Really, really cool. So thank you so much, Roy, and thank you for being here. So we'll basically just get started. We do a sort of draft pick in the background, and I am presenting first, so I will go ahead and kick us off if you're all ready.
sure.
Good.
So, for my game, I think...
Should I start the timer now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright.
I think it's an essential game because there's nothing else quite like it. I've brought Disco Elysium, an isometric detective RPG set in the fictional city of Revachol. It's heavily inspired by tabletop pen and paper RPGs, so it's all exploration and dialogue. There's no need for fast reflexes or to get good. You're just interacting with the world. The word count in this game, it's over 1 million words, and it's all fully voiced. The narrator, who makes up just less than half of that, is one of the best I've ever encountered, and the game's worth it just for him. The skills that you have access to, since this is an RPG, are the different parts of you. They're your psyche, your intelligence, your physique, your motor skills, and these skills will offer up dialogue inside your head as you interact with the world. There's 24 of these skills, and the higher the skill is, the more likely it is to pop up in the conversation. Your logic, your persuasion, your gut feelings and hunches, and your reliance on or resistance to drugs. They may be helpful or lead you entirely astray. For example, electrochemistry, it doesn't want the best for you as a person. It's your inner party animal, so it wants a high, and it wants to feel good. There are drugs and alcohol in the game, and they have benefits, but they have massive drawbacks. And these drawbacks are so clear to the point that they got the game unbanned in Australia because of how clear it is that these are bad for you. So beware of which parts of you that you listen to. In dialogue, with all these skills, there are dice rolls. It is a tabletop RPG. You can fail these dice rolls. In fact, you're going to fail a lot of them. And this is a game about embracing that failure. If you want to try a dialogue option because it seems funny, just try it. What's the worst that could happen? Of course, succeeding is fantastic, but failing in this game will produce some of the best moments it has to offer, and not being afraid to fail is really refreshing. Okay, you've picked your stats, it's time to start the game. You're met with an inky black void. Your lizard brain and limbic system are at odds about how to proceed, and then suddenly there's light. You wake up face down in your underwear. This guy doesn't know his own name, he doesn't know what his face looks like, or even why he's here. You groggily walk around the room, get dressed, you might catch a glimpse of your face in the mirror, and you'll soon find out it's a murder mystery, and you're the detective meant to solve it who just got blackout drunk and forgot everything. There are so many distractions and side quests that involve a huge cast of characters, and it's all treated with equal merit, so you can't go wrong in the order that you're going to tackle things. You could spend hours figuring out how to proceed with an autopsy, or complete the game without ever looking at the murder victim. You're free to progress how you see fit. The moment-to-moment gameplay is going to be exploring and engaging with characters, with your partner, Kim Kitsuragi. To be honest, he's one of the best NPCs in all of gaming. I've never tried so hard to gain the approval of a character than I did with Kim. He'll go along with your jokes, but he'll also keep you on the right lines. You're going to try so hard not to disappoint this man. He's the one beacon of light in your life. And I could spend 5 minutes just talking about Kim, but we'll get back to what you're going to be doing. You're going to have to find out what happened with the murder, the strike that's halting all trade in the town, political tensions, and I think you had a gun at one point. And yes, I did say the game's very political. There's moralism, communism, liberalism, fascism. I just want you to be aware you can play this game without having any clue what they're talking about sometimes. It's not preaching a point of view. It just wants to show you the flaws that these systems have. None of it is safe from critique. And to be honest, 5 minutes is too short to regale with all the amazing interactions in this game, and I tried my best to be spoiler-free. I think it's essential just for the way you'll interact with the world, the freedom to mess up, and to engage with some of the best written dialogue I've ever encountered. And I think that's me.
All right, let's give it up.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You had like 10 seconds to spare. Hey.
Yeah, I timed that a
Timed
lot.
that shit.
I
You
timed that a
prepared
lot.
well.
So if anybody has any questions for me, I'll try my best to answer. And if you want to ask in chat, Roy will try to pick them out for us.
Yep. That's first. Anyone from the panelists?
He explained it so thoroughly, I can't think of anything.
I guess
See?
I'll try to come up with one here. I'm just trying to form it in my head, but like with these kind of games, they kind of scare me because I feel like I don't have a good grounding in in these kind of games, in these kind of like traditional RPG. Like, RPG is such a broad term that gets thrown on everything, but these like tabletop RPG kind of things, I don't have an understanding of how the systems work. Which is why something like Baldur's Gate 3 was really refreshing to have like a really like it removed barriers to entry, which I think is something that's really big for this. So like, what is that experience like for somebody who has no previous experience in tabletop RPGs or anything? Like, can they get in and engage and have fun? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would honestly say it's pretty approachable. I think if you're just told about the fact that there's loads of stats and dice rolls, it might be a bit off-putting. But it does start off, you can build your own character, or it just gives you like specific cop archetypes, right? That you can pick, you know, like the physical bruiser guy, the guy who goes with his gut, the guy who knows it all. You know, you can kind of get these set things, and they will impact how you interact with the world, but none of it's wrong, right? So you will, on a physical playthrough, you'll be trying to punch a guy who's 7 foot tall. You'll be, you know, brute forcing doors down, things like that. To be honest, it's just all, as I said, everything's equal merit. So although a lot of systems and RPGs with combat, you might feel like you'll bounce off because you've maybe made the wrong choice at some point, I don't think there really is a wrong way to go about it. It's all very clear with its dice rolls, and when you level up, it'll sort of keep you in your archetype, right? So it sort of streamlines that quite a lot to make it so you're not getting a character sheet out. You kind of, you just engage with the game as it happens, you know. As I said, it's a lot of dialogue and just picking the best options to see how you can proceed. So I would say it's pretty approachable for really anybody.
All right. I see Rena with her hand up.
Yes. I thought of a question. As someone who struggles to stay focused and easily suffers from decision paralysis, do you think this game does something to counter that, as where I would not worry about getting overwhelmed?
I think the fact it's fully voiced does help. I know it's not really specifically helping with making decisions, but it will keep your focus on whatever you pick, right? It'll try and engage you, because it's the director of the game really likes to hammer home points, you know, and state them over and over again. So you will be reminded at times of things that, oh, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could go talk to this guy, and it will sort of nudge you in directions. You can ignore that if you want, but it'll try and keep you on the path. And Kim, for example, is a great tool in that regard, because he'll try and remind you of your priorities. There are lots of options in the game. I know decision paralysis can be a thing, but to be honest, in dialogue, you're going to want to try everything. With dice rolls, you're going to want to just try everything. It's not really making a choice and losing out on something. It's just engaging with it as you encounter it. So I think it does a good job in that regard.
I'm a professional at rolling ones in D&D, so I think I know a bit about failure.
Yeah, to be honest, there are dice rolls, and you're going to say, I've got a 17% chance to get this. There's never 100% chance that you're going to fail, and there's never 100% chance you're going to succeed. But as I said, failing in the game is really funny, to be honest. They've handled these encounters and decisions so well that if you see something, just go with it, is my reaction to that.
All right, thank you.
All right, I'll take one from the chat. Laurentium, I'll get to you, Eddie. Sorry. Do you want to go first, Eddie?
No. Larry's been letting you know. We can go with that. I can catch up after.
Okay.
I have it written down.
So Laurentium asks, what's the hook? Is there a core gameplay mechanic or plot device that keeps you glued to the screen?
So it is a murder mystery. There is, I don't know if you can see it on screen, but there was an a murder and lynching that happened, and you have to find out basically why this has happened, who's done it, and it is all linked together. Your initial gut feelings on who did it, who didn't do it, they may be completely wrong, because there's, as I said, there's political tensions, there's a strike going on, and it is all intertwined. Whatever way you want to go about it is completely valid, but it is with the purpose of solving this murder to stop an incoming threat. So the police are here to try and do their best and patch everything up before everything goes south. So that would be the main driving force for you in the beginning, is to just basically solve the murder, but it opens up to be so much more, because there are so many branching and intertwining plot points. So I think that would be the main thing, is solving the murder.
Okay. So Eddie, I've had a couple things in the chat to say that you need to be a little bit louder.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if Yogi can do that.
Yeah, I just bumped it up
Yeah,
a
I was gonna
little
say
bit.
I'm about as loud as I can be on my end. But yeah, just let me know when you've done that, Yogi. I don't want to like ask you while you're
Yeah, I think
technically.
Okay.
yeah, the better now. There we go.
Sounds
There
better.
we go.
Okay.
Okay,
You have a question there?
Yeah. So, you stated like over 1 million words in the script as a benefit, and it totally is. And this is more just a question that I feel compelled to ask, because I know myself as a gamer, which is that when I go into a game, especially if I really love the world and I really love the characters, I end up wanting to do everything. With a game of this scale, often, even if I see it and I'm told you'll love this, and I can see that I would love it, I will not play it for a really long time, because I know that once I start playing it, I'm going to get sucked in for forever, trying to get everything done, trying to see everything, trying to experience everything. I don't know where the question is there so much as, like, I guess how do you square that with like actually getting, a reasonably sized, kind of gaming experience out of what can seem like an intimidating kind of behemoth.
Yeah. So just knowing you and the way that you approach games, I can understand where your point is. Again, because it is so skill dependent, I would say you're not going to experience absolutely everything in just like one playthrough, because just to give you an example, as soon as you walk out onto the street, a cop with high perception is going to see some tire tracks and footprints, but one that doesn't is going to completely miss it. The world changes if your perception is lower or higher, and literally what you can interact with. So your skills will all offer something, right? They all add to the game, but you cannot have all skills at all times. So in regards to sort of what your worry may be, you're not going to see absolutely everything in one playthrough. You can tackle all the side quests, but you might not see every single outcome as you go along.
Right. So it's going to kind of chunk my playthrough, or I guess my experience, into multiple playthroughs. So there's like these easy kind of cutoff points to call myself, satisfied with the experience.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of people, if they only played it through once, will all have different sort of experiences. The story's the same, but how it unfolds is going to be different.
I'm going to add a little bit onto that. Like, if you leave the first room, you've already missed something.
Yeah.
Like, my first time playing, I had, like, 1 health point, and I died immediately trying to get dressed.
Yeah,
I heard someone died sitting in a chair.
Yeah,
having one health point.
I died because a kid insulted me. My morale
So
couldn't.
many creative ways to die.
Yeah, my morale couldn't take it, so I just curled up into a ball, and that was it. So there are so many like different interactions, and everything is really important. But yeah, you're not gonna get absolutely everything out of one playthrough. Is what I'm saying.
We got a lot of more questions. Are there multiple endings, or how many endings are there?
There's
Trying to do it without spoilers, right?
Yeah, so there are different outcomes that can happen at the ending. There is an ending. How you get there and sort of what happens at the ending are different depending on what you do, what you interact with, and how you've been through the game. Because I didn't even talk about like the thoughts that you can have. If you do things over and over, you can have thoughts about them. And for example, if you have a communist thought one too many times, you're single-handedly reviving the communist movement, and that's now a part of your personality. That will be brought up at the end of the game, but it is just a sort of singular ending. But they'll comment on like what you've done. Without spoilers, I can't do anything more.
I guess I kind of have a question, comment myself, if that's okay.
Sure.
Like, I've played through like maybe 30% of the game, and I got bored because I felt like I had to wait for a time to pass. Okay. Like in the game, you have to go through real time in a way. You have to wait for time. Some things happen at certain times of day.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't actually progress to the next big story stuff because I had to wait till the third day for the bridge to get fixed.
Yeah.
I was just kind of sitting there waiting because I had nothing else. I felt like I had nothing else to do. I didn't know what to do at that point.
Okay.
How do you... I'm not sure how you can help me get back into the game, because I feel like I really love the game, but I just felt like I had to wait too much.
Yeah, I understand. They have sort of admitted that could be a problem. You can find books in the game, and you can read them, and that will literally pass in-game time. So you can be running around doing these different side quests, talking to the characters, but if you feel like you have nothing to do, or you've checked everything that you can think of, they do have the books in the game that will progress time forward, because there are, as you said, some time-based things. And even with like Kim, he'll want to like regroup at the end of the first night and talk about how the day's gone, right? So there are things that are time-based, but they have a little mechanic in there. Maybe it's not the best explanation, because time only really is going to progress when you're talking to people or reading a book. And it's maybe not the clearest thing ever.
Do they level your skills like they do in Persona 5?
I'm not sure. I think you do checks with them. I can't quite remember. They might have the dice rolls associated with them.
Kind of genuinely love like an in-game answer being to like, have some spare time on your hands. Why not read a book?
Exactly. Yeah.
The books might influence your thinking, like maybe you're reading a communist book.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, get out there, revive communism, guys. Read a book.
Let's go.
Candace is asking if you can speedrun it. I'm assuming yes.
I've never thought to speedrun it. I will go check and see if there's a, I don't see why I can't. Disco Elysium. I mean,
apparently the world record is like 26 minutes.
Yeah, like 28 minutes, 27 minutes, 22 seconds. I mean, technically you can speedrun it.
All right. I think we spent a lot of time here. Anyone have any last minute questions?
Well, my question kind of got stolen by chat. Thank you very much.
Oh,
But about the multiple ending stuff, because I'm a huge fan of choices matter games. So, do your actions and choices really have an effect on the endings, or is it just kind of like 3 endings and that's about it?
To answer that question honestly, just with the nature of it being a murder mystery, the ending is sort of predetermined because something's already happened. So in terms of choices matter, do you get a different ending? There's spoilery stuff there, but it's not massively it's so hard to describe this without spoiling it because it's so out of left field. There is something that can happen at the ending that is completely wacky, and that could be considered as something different. But to be honest, because the murder has already happened, stuff is sort of already set, right? It's just how you path your way there is really where the choices are going to come in. It doesn't change the destination.
maybe the murderer gets away. I don't know. I'm just thinking it's a murder mystery, so whoever the murderer is, you're trying to find them. Maybe they get away and you can't catch them.
I'm
I know you
no comment.
quiet.
No comment.
Spoilers.
I'm just spitballing. I haven't actually played through.
Yeah.
I told you I got stuck. I didn't want to wait at the bridge.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, Larry in chat says it, like, you get the same answer in different ways, right? So the real reason why I think this is just so different is how you're interacting and how you get to the destination.
Right, the journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not the destination, it's the journey that matters.
Exactly.
All right.
I think that's me.
I think
that's
we've
enough
spent
time.
enough time with this. We want to get through everyone.
Exactly.
So let's give it again. Give it our hand for Yogi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great choice of game.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, we have Atham. He is second in our draft. So I'll let you take it away.
Do you have a
if you have any
presentation to
presentations.
show?
Yes, yeah. Thanks. I'll just get the video up then. Find it here. Okay.
We got Big Raimi. Just hold on.
Sorry.
Oh god, no! It disappeared!
Atham has brought in the rain.
Oh. You'll need to. Let me see. If I stop streaming, that should fix it.
This is actually all just one big video game. It's AI. So.
Things are in a little bit different order. You'll need to fix the stream, Yogi.
Yeah.
I think if you
no.
just click on a different thing to put it to the front.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
think it looks okay now, right?
Sometimes being a streamer is a bit like being a Tamagotchi when chat tells you to drink water.
Right.
Right. So
Get abstract. Go for a walk.
it just doesn't want to.
Baby simulator.
Atham's brought Raimi.
I'm
this
happy
not
that
be
we're
popped out?
figuring this out now and not doing my bit.
Yeah. Can you not pop out the when someone's streaming? Is that not a thing Discord does?
Just gonna throw this out there. You could talk and I could act it out for you if you really want.
That would actually be pretty hilarious with this, I think.
All right, hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna brute force it. Right.
No,
pop
it's
out.
just me and Yogi.
Oh, it pops out everybody.
It's
I
just live here now.
Yeah. Hold on. I got this. Don't worry. We're gonna.
Just want to say, chat, before the stream, Yogi was getting cocky and saying that
Oh
it took
yeah,
him way less
dude.
time than Ben.
I was. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I did. I set it up really quickly. Obviously.
We'll do it live. It's fine.
Yeah, obviously not well, Okay, so Atham and Raimi may have swapped spots for now. Don't worry about that. We're doing it live.
Hell yeah.
You know, I just wanted to be closer to Raimi. It was a big ploy.
Oh,
Just say the word.
rigged.
Okay, we're all good.
Okay. Thanks. So it's a 5-minute video, so I guess that's gonna be my timer.
Okay, I guess I don't need to time it then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As soon as I hit play, we're
right.
going.
All right.
Mhm.
So hopefully this works. Hello, hi, it's me, Atham. Let me talk to you about a game called Street Fighter 6, or SF6. It launched in June 2023, has already sold more than 4 million copies. Capcom says it's meeting their expectations. It's on PS5, Xbox Series XS, PC. Full disclosure, I'm not a fighting game expert. I can't do frame perfect combos in my sleep, but I am a fan. I love the style, strategy, and flash of a good fighter, and I think Street Fighter 6 is right up there. So the modes, you got the fighting ground, you have a battle hub, and you have World Tour. So let's get started with World Tour. World Tour, this is really where Street Fighter 6 shines for people who aren't into competitive play. It shines for me as well. Create your own avatar, go nuts, make them look wild, because you can make things that are representations of you. You can make things that are really freaky, as tall or as small as you want, whatever you want. Wearing the silliest or the cleanest outfits. It's goofy, it's silly, but it's actually also a really brilliant way to learn different character styles and to learn about fighting games. You'll meet the roster, you'll pick up some of their moves, you'll explore a fun storyline along the way. You'll fight Roombas, you'll fight refrigerators. It's ridiculous in the best way. If you want a relaxed, story-driven take on a fighting game, World Tour mode nails it. So the next mode, Fighting Ground. This is your arcade mode with quick story arcs for each character. There's some offline versus CPU stuff. There's a robust training mode, robust tutorials, and combo guides to help you understand each character's moves. And there's also this fun kind of weird arcadey kind of thing they throw in here that changes it up and adds these different modifiers. And then the third mode, that's the Battle Hub. So this is your virtual arcade. Here you can hop onto arcade cabinets to play matches with real people in these lobbies, in these virtual lobbies. Or you can play old Capcom games like Street Fighter 2 or Puzzle Fighter, or jump into online battles as well at these virtual cabinets. Gameplay mechanics, we'll talk about. The main thing to highlight is the modern control scheme. So it makes things really simple. There are 4 buttons. You don't have to memorize quarter circles. You don't have to memorize directions. You get an assist option as well for auto combos. And auto combos do less damage, but they take the execution level out of it, and they help you just get into the game and focus on the strategy of the game. Classic controls are still there. So over here, I just have a comparison of modern versus classic controls as well. Another thing to note is how stamina, which is the green bars over there, and the super art bar, which is at the bottom left for Ryu, they're separated out. And so what that means is that you have different resources to use. So it's not like you're dumping an entire resource and now you have nothing that you can do. And I think that's pretty important. We'll get into a few more mechanics, but I think it's important. It's in the drive system. And so there are universal moves that every single character has, and that helps you understand what every character can do and what you can do. The drive impact is like your get off me button. It's a really flashy, effective move that's very beginner friendly. Drive parry is also, every character can parry incoming attacks. Drive rush, you can dash out of your parry. And then the final thing is drive reversal, which is similar to drive impact. It's after block. You can have a get off me type of button. And so, I'd close on modern controls just saying that some pros use modern controls and have had some success with it, right? So it's viable. This is Haitani at EVO 2023. This is Tachikawa at World Warrior 2024, making top 8. So that's like my quick spin on mechanics. So why is it essential? Like growing up, I missed the true arcade era. My local scene was about like these weird internet cafes and random console fighters. Street Fighter 2 propped up arcades. Street Fighter 3 didn't really hit the mainstream. Street Fighter 4, in my opinion, kind of revived the series. 5 stumbled with a rocky launch and questionable audience targeting. This is Street Fighter 4 right here. But why it's essential, I think if if you're a fighting game fan, then you're already in here. But if you've been on the fence, maybe you find these games too technical, maybe you've had bad experiences with steep learning curves, I feel like this game genuinely lowers the barrier to entry. It gives a silly but fun world tour mode. It has improved online play. There's an easy way in for everybody. I personally have spent most of my time in practice, in tutorials, and in world tour. And so, you know, to sum up, I think it's a collection of modes that provide an exciting competitive game, but it gives so many fun options around the core game that just about anybody can find something to enjoy with it. And so, you know, if you've just ever been on the edge and you wanted a way in, just to fighting games in general, this is a great game for that. And that's why I think in the fighting game category, it's a great choice. That's it. Thanks.
All right. So everyone give Atham Moran a round of applause.
Very
Great
nice
presentation.
presentation.
Thank you.
And I'm going to open it up to questions.
I have a couple questions.
All right.
The first question is a bit of a silly one. How receptive is this game to abusing the classic I'll just mash any buttons and panic and win the game because of it?
I don't think you can mash buttons and get away with it. I think it'll depend on who you're playing. I think, you know, if you're jumping into ranked matches and you are matched at similar skill levels, which I think the ranked mode does well, then if everyone's mashing, then I think it'll be fine. But if you're jumping into Battle Hub and you're hopping onto different arcade cabinets, that's not going to work because the people it basically simulates a real arcade is what they were going for. And so if you were going into a real arcade and you were just mashing buttons and there are sleuths who are hanging around in the arcades, then you know they're going to know everything about the game, and that's not going to work. You know, so no, I don't think mashing would work in certain modes in this game. In World Tour, in casual matches with friends at your similar skill level, then yeah, it would probably work. Yeah, I think I'd stop there.
And then my other question was, you said there were different story modes as well. At the end of the trailer, there was a sequence where you fought refrigerators. What story mode would that be?
So that's the World Tour. That's the World Tour story mode. And so what World Tour does essentially is the broad strokes of the story is that you have a rival who started out with you training as a fighter, trying to improve your skills, and that rival went down a dark path, and you're basically trying to chase the rival and find out what happened to them, and you know, obviously not going to try to spoil things, but as you progress through this world, yeah, there's just it's just I don't know, it's wacky. It's the world is just so charmingly wacky that yes, yeah, you'll run around the corner, you're like, whoa, there are Roombas that are here ready to fight. So yeah.
All right.
Oh, sorry, Rainy, you look like you had a question. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm a really big Street Fighter 6 Andy, so it's really hard for me to not just say nice things about the game.
Right.
So instead, I'll say, how is the netcode? Because that's always a big problem with online fighting games.
Yeah. So I think my personal experience is that the netcode has been very good. I had played Street Fighter V where there were issues with netcode, and I think fighting games in general have put in like this the rollback type of stuff, which they do pretty well in Street Fighter 6. So I've had no issues, and I think in general the reviews have pointed to good network play. And there are also settings that you can customize to that as well, so you can filter out bad network people in your ranked matches or
Thank
casual
you.
matches or whatever.
Did you have a question, Eddie?
I did. So, you said that, like, you know, you're not like a professional fighting game player, and that you're not like top of class. And one of the things that you really like about this is that it lowers, that barrier to entry and everything. So kind of adjacent to that property, I've tried getting into fighting games like a small handful of times back in college because a bunch of my friend group were longtime fighting game fans. But that was the issue, was that they were all longtime fighting game fans. And so I would try to play with them and would have an absolutely awful time. Just like really, really not enjoying myself even a little bit. And does this game attend to that? Can I play with people who have played fighting games, like any fighting game, for a very long time and like actually have a good time? Or is there still this big kind of gulf where I would need to be playing with other people who spent a comparably minuscule amount of time with fighting games?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think trying to think through how to approach this. So the one thing that I think helps with playing your friends who are at different skill levels. So I'll use my brother as an example. My brother is way better than me at fighting games. I've also jumped into lobbies with people in different communities who are way better than me. But my general experience was at the end of each match, I would be able to figure out like somehow through playing the game, I would be able to figure out what I was doing wrong and what I could improve on. And then the second thing was even during those matches, even with differences in skill levels, I feel like there are some tools in this game that that allow beginners to have a better time. That's chiefly the drive impact, because that drive impact is that flashy paint move that staggers. It is such a quick move. It is so hard to react to, and it's an instant kind of get off me button. And so it would help with reversing the tides when somebody's pressuring you in these kind of games. The other thing that I would say to this is, so I guess one of the reasons why I brought this is because I love to learn. I love to learn new things and try different things. And so, as somebody who is not a pro, as I said, like I spent an enormous amount of time, probably a quarter of the time in the game. So half of my time is in World Tour, which is basically a story driven training mode. And the other quarter of time is Battle Hub, and then the other quarter of time is in training and in tutorials, because they have done such a great job at giving detailed tutorials that are fun to get through. And I wish that I would have highlighted that more. That really teach you about the fundamentals of this game, and then by extension, the fundamentals of fighting games in general. And I guess that's why I had brought it here, because I thought, okay, if I was going to pick one game in the fighting game category, what game would I pick? And it's this game, because of all the different things that they do to try and get new people in the door in a successful way. I think I'm one of them.
Okay, cool.
I think that actually answered one of the chat questions. How do you think it holds up to other famous fighting games? Which we can explain with all the tutorial stuff. Like, it's good for newcomers, right?
Yeah, so like when I think about big fighting games nowadays, you have your Street Fighters, you have your Tekkens, and gosh, like what would be the third one? And again, like I don't play a ton of fighters, right? But I have played Tekken 8. I played a little bit of that King of Fighters, a little bit of Virtua Fighter, a new Virtua Fighter that's going to come out. And it's I can speak to Tekken 8 because I spent a lot of time. So Tekken 8 is the comparable to Street Fighter 6, and from my perspective, and again, why I brought it to two essentials is, in Tekken 8, I got lost. I didn't find that it was explaining to me properly how this game works and how fighting games work. And I don't know. I just feel like Street Fighter 6 comes out on top from the specific angle of why I'm bringing it to Essentials today. Is how I'll answer that.
Okay. A couple other quick questions from the chat. Bach asks if there's a way to play as Fridge.
No, you can't. You can't play as Fridge, but you know what you can do is you can play as modern Zangief, which is basically Fridge. Fridge is basically modern Zangief because the fridge will open the door and suck you in, and then do like a big power bomb, and that's basically Zangief. Zangief will grab you and do a big flashy power bomb or a pile driver or whatever. Anyway.
Large asks who's your favorite character and why.
My favorite character is Ryu. My favorite character is Ryu, and why is because Ryu has always been the like if you're a beginner to fighting games and Street Fighter in general, pick Ryu because they're the beginner character. They're and that doesn't mean to say that they're bad. That means to say that they are well balanced. They have a variety of options in all the different things in fighting games when you're thinking about okay, options at this specific range between these two characters, what options do I have? And how far do I need to be away? And anywhere on the screen, Ryu has an option. If you're really far away, you can throw a fireball. If you're really close, you have some really good light kind of punches and kicks. If you're in the medium range, you have great options that throw out some feats or throw out some hands without leaving you too vulnerable to a counterattack.
Okay,
And
cool.
so Ryu. Yeah.
Canis just asked if you can be a furry since he can customize your character.
I don't know. I wish I knew how to answer this.
These chat questions,
I
huh?
think so.
They're all
I think you
vital.
can because I've seen
It's
you.
essential.
You could be a Ninja Turtle.
Yes, that's true.
Oh, that's true. All right. I'm going to throw out a question here myself. Do you think this will still hold up in like 10 years once we've had Street Fighter 7 and 8? Will Street Fighter 6 still be worthy of being an essential?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Like, this is an ever-growing list that's going to be going for many years, I'm assuming, or hoping.
Right.
I know it's tough to predict, but
Yeah, that's tough to say because I don't know how they'll pivot and it isn't like because so if if you had asked me if I had for whatever reason and I wouldn't have but if I had brought Street Fighter 5 to this and then you were to ask me like in the future would I pick Street Fighter 6 then at that time I would have thought about all the things that Street Fighter 5 did wrong and then I would have thought about what they need to correct so that uh then hopefully that's what Street Fighter 6 would represent, and then I'd say, okay, well that one would hopefully be the thing. Here, I do feel like they've done a great job. It's very hard for me to poke at the bad aspects of it to see then what would they fix, and then why would Street Fighter 7 be good? I I don't think so. I think it would be probably equivalent. I think in general, all of these fighting games, all of them going forward are all struggling with the same thing, which is trying to figure out how do you bring newcomers into the fold and give them a way to engage with this game uh, to keep growing your audience while also keeping your base happy. Um, and so I think that Street Fighter 7 should be no different from what Street Fighter 6 is trying to achieve.
okay. Good answer. Any last questions from the panel?
One of the biggest recurring issues with fighting games as a genre is balancing. There's generally always going to be at least one character who's just fundamentally better than everybody else. And when you go online, it's just like, could I not fight this character for once? Right. Is it like that, or is it a pretty well balanced cast?
I think so. This is a really good question as well, and I think unfortunately I'll have to concede that like I don't like how some of the balancing stuff works. I don't like battle passes in general. I don't like character battle passes and all this kind of stuff. I think the good thing is that they don't do balance changes often. And so for long periods of time, you have the same balance within characters. I think characters are generally well balanced, but the thing that irritates me is that balance changes over time. And so I would have played this game predominantly around release, and I'm used to that one set of things. If I come back to it now there are a whole bunch of new characters, and that means that there are a whole bunch of balance changes, and that means that there's a whole lot new things to learn, and that would be a little bit frustrating, and there would be a bit of a learning curve there. So balance is done well, but changes happen because of how they do the new character battle pass releases.
Yeah, it's definitely a very different kind of experience in that regard.
Anyone else? All right. Let's give another round of applause. Another hand.
Thank you.
Good presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Adam. Next up in our order is going to be Raimi. Let's see if my entire layout gets a little bit saucy.
I stopped the share.
Yeah, it looks like it will.
Raimi, do you have something to put up?
I do, yeah. I'm going to throw out a caveat here. I think part of why Yogi invited me is I have a challenge to beat every GameCube game on stream, but I'm not doing a GameCube game. I'm mixing it up.
God.
I mean, that's cool. That's fine.
Also, I have no script. I like to do things loosey-goosey, so this will be interesting.
Oh, dude, I've got notes. That's what I've got as well. So I'm with you, brother.
I think we're good.
Got like 3 slides with like a dozen words between all of them.
Ooh.
Oh, it just worked. Good.
All of this just works.
I think the problem earlier is that I was the
It
one who
just
had
worked.
like the thing up there, and since I don't have a webcam, it messed things up. Maybe.
It's working now, and we'll take it.
Okay.
Just let me know when.
Yep.
I will start the timer as soon as you actually start talking.
Okay. So yeah, I have decided to bring Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which in Japan is known as Monster Hunter Double Cross. Monster Hunter as a series has only really just broken into the mainstream with kind of World and Rise over the last few years. So a lot of people have never played kind of a classic Monster Hunter, which is quite a different experience from what we're used to now. I feel like one disadvantage I have presenting it this way is that Monster Hunter is an extremely flashy game. It's classic Capcom Japan shenanigans, just crazy attacks, crazy monsters, it's just insane. So you're not going to see a ton of the animations and stuff, but I just like show some of them here. You can see we've got people using giant weapons, flying through the sky. There's monsters, as big as a building. It's just all absolutely, dialed up to 11 craziness. So the reason I really like Generations Ultimate is it's kind of a love letter to the series. The series is 20 years old now. And I thought I'd present it today because the newest in the series, Wilds, is coming out in like a month's time. World, Rise, and Wilds are very different to classic Monster Hunter. I've played since the very beginning, the PS2 game. The style has really kind of diverged. So the reason why Generations Ultimate is so cool is it's kind of a perfect encapsulation of what the series was until it reached its modern kind of form. So even as the series progresses, it's never going to be out of date as such because it's always going to be that kind of classic style, which we're not going to have anymore. It's got a really simple and addictive gameplay loop. It's literally kill a monster a few times, make its armor, so you can kill the next thing, make its armor. It's just like playing, an MMO or something. It's the classic loop. You're on the treadmill, but you're just loving it. It's just do X to do, daisy chaining objectives, and there's just always the next big thing to go after. It's super fun, just always having a new monster you want to slay. The coolest thing about Gen Ultimate, which no other Monster Hunter game has, is the style system. So there are 14 weapons in the game, so there's something for everybody. You've got giant swords, you've got bows, you've got hammers, you can play the hunting horn. But then even with those 14 weapons, there are 6 unique styles. There's Guild, which is the classic style. There's Aerial, which is focused on mounting monsters. There's Striker, which is a much more simplified style for new people. There's Adept, which lets you dash through monsters, and if you're really good at Adept, you'll never take damage. There's Valor, which is focused on doing giant attacks. And there's Alchemy, which is all about support, using items to buff your allies. Then there's also the Prowler system, which is you can play as a palico, which is like a little cat, and they have a completely different style of play. They have their own hunts and everything. So there's just so much to do. It's honestly crazy. Here, just again, staggering amount of content. That is just some of the maps and some of the monsters. I haven't even got half of them there. There's just a baffling amount to do. And the coolest thing is it's on the Switch, so you could do a hunt. Just you got 30 minutes, you do a hunt. Hey, I'm going to turn my Switch off, put it away, and then hey, I've got another 30 minutes. So I'll do a hunt again. It's just really easy to pick up and play, which is just really fantastic. It suits being on the Switch so well. And yeah, you could just the amount of crazy monsters you can fight in the end game. You've got the Fated Four. Giant elephant, like a kitsune, giant dinosaur with a sword for a tail. You got the Boxar, which is Valstrax, which is a dragon that's got jets for wings. You've got Bloodbath Diabolos at the bottom right there, which is one of the hardest monsters they've ever made. And then Fatalis at the top there, which is classic giant kind of Western dragon. So I just honestly, there's a monkey that turns Super Saiyan. It's ridiculous. There's a bug that turns itself into a giant mecha. So there's just always something to do. Can't even get into just the amount of style in the game. But yeah, as just a core gameplay loop, it's just really nice and tight. As I say, it's on the Switch, which is just perfect because you can just pick up and play as and when you want to. It's got a sprawling online system. You can play in local or via the internet in a hub. You can do every hunt solo or with friends. Yeah, it's just incredible, dude. I could gush all day. I love Monster Hunter, and as I say, it's just if you haven't played the classics, this is the classics just perfected. And no matter what we go towards in the future, this will always be kind of that perfect moment that just summarized the first kind of 20 years of the series. I think that's about it.
All right, let's give a hand. Now let's open up the questions from the panel first.
So, I got a question. So like you said, Monster Hunter has only kind of recently hit the mainstream with World and Rise. A friend of mine, who was a long time kind of Monster Hunter fan, tried to get me in on World. And I enjoyed my time with it, relatively speaking, but as soon as there wasn't that anchor of a friend to play the game with, I pretty much instantly ended up bouncing off. And a lot of that, I think, was the grind. How would Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, since it's kind of a departure in the sense that it's more of the classic titles, how do you think that someone like me would find it, where I really wanted to keep playing, but I found that without that kind of social element, it just didn't end up keeping me.
Sure. I mean, the truth is not everything is for everybody, and it is a grind of a game, and that is kind of the joy of it. It's just a really kind of refined loop of working up your way through the chain. In terms of a social aspect, there's Discord communities. It's because, as I say, this is kind of the last hurrah for the old style. This game is going to have a community for as long as Discord's going to be a thing, I'd have to imagine. So there, you can find people to play with. You can join hunts with strangers, and there's an in-game communication system through. You can type, you can use emotes. So you could possibly, even make friends playing the game. I think what I really enjoy about it is it's so modular. There's lots of options. You have the offline kind of village, which is the self-contained story of the game, and you could just play that and enjoy kind of all the solo content the game has to offer. It's entirely up to you if you want to go into the hub, which is the online system, and you can still solo all of the online content, but you've still got a feature complete game, even if you don't even delve into the kind of multiplayer aspect, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
I would, because I've played some of the older style ones. I remember on the PSP with my friends going on hunts, and then also playing Monster Hunter World. One thing I noticed about World is these massive set piece bosses. that, you know, it's like it's this elder dragon or whatever, right? And there's cannons on walls. It's just tearing everything down. I didn't like that part. Is there anything like that in this? Because I only played a few of the older style games, and I don't remember anything quite so like grand of a spectacle. Or is it just you tracking a monster and like just dealing with it?
Sure. Again, it's in here. That's where, you know, this generation is where it came from, but it's only a small part. So you have, you know, Lao Shanlong, which is a giant dragon which you chase through a gorge, and you have as I say, like a giant like insect that turns into a mech and stuff. But I think there's like 200 monsters or something if you take like deviants and there's like subspecies and stuff. So even if you never wanted to touch any of like the 10 giant, you know, as you say, like kind of arena based fights, you could still sink 500 hours in just hunting, you know, bears and wyverns and stuff. Like it's just whatever you want to make of it, I would say.
Fair enough. Thank you.
If no one else on the panel has a question, I have a question. I played Rise for a bit, but I also got super hooked on the budget free-to-play version, which is Dauntless. And funnily enough, I enjoyed Dauntless a lot more than I enjoyed Rise, just because of the sheer complexity that was thrown at me when I tried to play Rise. Like, there was so much I had to learn from the get-go. It's like, okay, you go there to get this, you go there to do that, you go there to do this, and then you have the story, and then you have that, and then you have this. And I was just super overwhelmed with everything. And I was like, there's just so much. Like, there was so much for me from the get-go that I didn't even know where to start, which I didn't have in Dauntless. So where do you think this game would sort itself into? Is it also like, here's a world, mechanics this, tutorial that, have fun? Or is it more like where it like takes your hand and it's like, okay, you have an introduction mission, then you go there, then you do this, and this doesn't unlock until you do this. So it kind of like leads you into the game.
I think honestly, it's a healthy middle, which to me is perfect. It doesn't hold your hand to the point where it becomes tedious, but you have in the village a set series of very basic hunts to kind of ease you in. So you might go gather some mushrooms, or you might kill some little like raptor dudes or something. You're going to start really low stakes, so you get a chance to explore the world, figure out what weapon you like the feel of. I think there is just this sheer scale of complexity and content available, but you'll never feel like you're missing out if you don't want to take it all the way. And as I said, there's the striker style and the guild style. Those are very kind of simple styles for the weapons. If you just want to kind of get into it, and then if you want to take it further, Adept and Valor are a lot harder to play, but the payoff is really huge. So I don't think I've played a lot of Rise, and it's not my favorite in the series. It's a lot of stuff. This is much more traditional in the sense that it's very much you just work your way up through a progressively kind of crazy series of hunts, but you do start right down on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm. Nice. One more thing. Is this only available for the Switch? Or do you know if they have plans to like make it available on like Steam or something?
As far as I'm aware, there's the original version of this on the 3DS, and then this version is on the Switch, and I don't believe it's going to make its way to any other platform. I think every game from World onwards is always going to be on the PC, but I don't think this is.
It's weird how the soundtrack is on Steam, but not the game.
Oh, is that right? As I say, though, I think it being on the Switch is really cool because you could just take your Switch with you, and because it's 10-15 minute hunts, it's really convenient to just do something for a short amount of time if you want to. You don't have to sink 20 hours in one go. You can just, I think that's why to me it's essential, is you can just have it in your arsenal of games to play, and I could just whip it out right now and just do a hunt just for fun, and then I could just come back to it whenever I want.
It's hard for me to be critical. I don't have a question because I like Monster Hunter. I like the idea of Monster Hunter. I haven't played a lot of Monster Hunter, but the more modern ones that I have played, I've really
We're
engaged with.
Capcom bros. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, that's basically it. But
Yeah,
but just the one thing that I wanted to mention, you were talking about the Nintendo Switch. I'm just thinking forward to the next Switch that will come out. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be backwards compatible anyway, and so it should be that if this thing ends up on that platform, that it should be there for the Switch. But we'll have to wait and see.
And the one thing where I'm a bit like meh is because I enjoy these type of games, but I like that Remy highlighted that you can just play it solo and that's fine. But I also like playing co-ops in games like these especially. And then being bound to the whole Nintendo Plus thing is a bit meh. But it is what it is.
All right, I'm going to bring up a chat question from earlier. How does this Monster Hunter installation handle the timer? Timer is a big reason they never got into Monster Hunter, as they heard it's either punishing or irrelevant based on the individual game.
I'd say it skews towards irrelevant, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Typically, you're not really gonna run out of time. You're just gonna either cart 3 times and fail the mission, or you're gonna beat the monster. Maybe some of the hardest stuff in the game you might run out of time on, because if you do it solo, you might just not be proficient enough. But then, to me, that opens up: do you want to, try to improve your skill, or do you want to go online and get some help from people? There are options. So yeah, I would say typically it skews towards irrelevant, but in my opinion, that's not a bad thing.
Okay, just have a question from Canis now. If it's a different experience to the Monster Hunter games we have now that haven't really found a home outside of Japan, why should newer fans go try the classic style? Like what would sell to them, as opposed to the modern style?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a hard one for me to be objective about, because I have played, for 20 years. I think part of it is kind of it's a piece of history. It's like, why would I play Ocarina of Time when I can play Breath of the Wild? It's a completely, it's a different style. I do think, being honest, that if you've only ever played World or Rise, that you might find it a bit clunky initially, because there are things like you can only use a potion when you're standing still, whereas nowadays you can just chug them as much as you want. But that increases the difficulty. So I'm firmly of the opinion classic Monster Hunter is substantially more difficult than modern. But it doesn't have to be that you, as I say, that you do the most difficult style of weapon or you fight the absolute craziest monsters. But yeah, I'd say it's a different experience. And I've played both, and I wouldn't say either is superior. So it kind of gives you the option to try something different, but it's got the same sort of DNA. You kind of you know what you're getting into, but you're going to have a slightly different style of play.
Yeah, I think they both have their benefits and drawbacks, to be honest. Like, World, I enjoyed it to a certain extent, but playing on the PSP, like the handheld, I feel like you saying it's on the Switch, and maybe I could try it on Steam Deck, the World or whatever, but I feel like it is a really good like handheld experience just to get those like bite-sized things. And it sounds like I'm maybe more of a classic Monster Hunter fan because, I mean, it's been, I don't know how many years, I don't want to say, since I played like an old Monster Hunter game on like DS or PSP or something, but that's like my experience with them. And I think this was kind of, I didn't even really know this existed as like a collection of the whole classic idea, so this was a nice insight into that.
That's kind of why I wanted to feature it, because as I say, Wild is coming out so soon, and this one went a little bit under the radar compared to World and Rise. So I just felt like, to me, it's essential because it really kind of encapsulates a bit of gaming history, despite being really fun to play as well. And that's never going to change. to me, because the series has stepped away from kind of where it started. Also, kind of similar to with Street Fighter 6, when Anthem was asked about will it become outdated. I think for the same reason it won't. It's like people still play Melee just because Brawl came out. That doesn't mean they don't play Melee anymore. And again, Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time. There's always going to be kind of those differences, and it's not that one of them is fundamentally better than the other. It's a different experience, and it's cool that you can have both.
I actually played Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on a convention. Like I got to test the demo, and I actually did have a lot of fun with it, as opposed to like with Rise and stuff. And then the only reason why I admittedly didn't get into it further was because of all the bad stuff that I've heard about it. So it was really nice that Remy brought this along and like just gave me different perspective on it.
Nice. Any more questions?
All throughout one, I played Try a little bit, like not very much of it. I think that's a classic one, right?
Yeah, it's on the Wii. Yeah.
Yeah. This was a really petty reason for me to stop playing, but it was just that the cooking element, it said that something was like burnt and unusable, even though it really looked well done to me. Is there still a cooking element, and is it lenient?
That is one of the smallest aspects of the game. You will never need to cook meat. You can, and you get a cute little jingle when you do it. I'm pretty sure you can just have the cats. I didn't mention this, but there's cats that cook for you, and it's awesome. I'm pretty sure you could just pay the cats to do it for you.
Okay. I know it's a really small, petty reason to stop playing.
No. But the thing is, you eat to get stamina, but by the time you've reached missions where you don't get rations at the start, you can eat food in the hub, and you'll always start with max stamina anyway, so you don't really need food.
Okay.
That's a very funny reason to stop, though. I thought you were going to say because of swimming, because Try has swimming, and swimming sucks, but...
I didn't get far enough to swim.
That's fair enough, yeah. You literally got to the base camp, you're like, well, I burnt my meat, so next game.
Guess I'm out.
Right. Any more questions from the panel?
Nope. All good.
All right. Let's give another round of applause. Another hand. Good presentation.
And let's go.
Big Gotham, let's go. Do you have a presentation right now?
No, I just have
Nope.
a small video I'm gonna round out my presentation with.
Okay. The video is good. As long as you have something to play.
You wanna?
Should I
Yeah,
stop
just share
the
it.
stream
You can.
now then?
You can just play it whenever
Alright.
you want, just so we have regular sized Atham again. You know.
Okay. I shall put my notes elsewhere then. So you guys can have a beautiful look
Can't
at
believe
my,
Rena brought Atham and Atham brought Rainy.
Everyone's bringing Atham. That's just kind of it's very rigged.
I've moved further away from Yogi.
Oh no.
I'm sad.
Goodbye. Never to meet again. So sad.
It'll be fixed as soon as.
How do I do this? I don't want to give Yogi an aneurysm.
I mean, we're doing it live. You know, it's karma for me saying how it took Ben so long. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It wasn't.
I wish
It's just
I wish the
distributed across the
title-
entire production.
I wish the title of the video would disappear. Otherwise, you're gonna get spoilers so bad, or whatever.
I mean, we're getting
can,
spoilers like right away, so
Yeah,
it's...
I'll turn the middle bit off.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
And hold on.
A white screen! I'm spoiled.
Oh my
no.
god! A white screen! No!
Oh, flashbang.
Oh,
Flashbang!
yeah, we disappeared! Flashbang!
All right, hold on. Let me. Can I crop out the top a little bit? Give me a second. I'll work with you here. Whoa! Whoa! Okay. Bet you nobody
All
saw
right, means
that.
back
That
to
was
being your
swift.
Yogi.
Oh, hello.
Like the stroke is big.
Nothing to see here.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it.
All right, whenever
Alright.
you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, so I have brought you Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals is a superhero team-based PvP shooter in the Marvel Universe developed by Marvel Games and NetEase Games. Why do I think this is an Epilogue essential? Now, first let me say a bit more about the game. Marvel Rivals is essentially been told that it's Overwatch with Marvel characters, right? Like you get to play Iron Man, you get to play Venom, you get to play the Hulk, all the good stuff. And yeah, the mechanics pretty much work like in Overwatch. You have an objective, you are on 6v6 teams, and you try to shoot each other to win quick matches. That's essentially the mechanics of what Marvel Rival is. But what makes it different from all these other shooters? I'm gonna put forward some very selfish arguments here. The main reason why I've decided to bring this game is because this is the first shooter that I, as a person who hates shooters, actually enjoys. I've played Overwatch, didn't really enjoy it. I played PUBG, didn't really enjoy it. I played Fortnite, didn't really enjoy it. Absolutely hated the game. I chickened out of playing Valorant, for Christ's sake. I hate shooters. I cannot stress this enough. And I still love Marvel Rivals. But why do I love it? It's exactly for the same reason that it's getting torn apart in reviews, is that people are saying that Marvel Rivals is too overcomplicated. But that's exactly what I love about it. Because it puts people on an even ground. So if you've played a million shooters before, sure, you'll have better aim, but that doesn't exactly matter in this game. And that's what I love about it. Because I am shit at aiming. I can pick up a character that doesn't require aiming and still contribute to my team without feeling completely useless. And I love that mechanic because you have something for everyone's playstyle and you can just grab your friends, queue up, and have a good time. It's not about being super competitive. There is a competitive mode. I've watched people play it. It has its flaws, sure, but I personally think that they don't matter to me because what I want to get out of games is I want to have a good time with my friends. And that's exactly what Marvel Rivals does. And as someone in Epilogue Gaming who's very much big on cooperative events, like I have a million co-op streams that I've got going and I'm very proud of them and I'm very happy to do them. It's the perfect game for me because it allows me to grab some people, have a good time, get some laughs in, make people laugh with how absolutely awful I am, how I got stuck on the map again, how I actually fell off the map because I didn't know there was a ledge behind me and I didn't look behind me. It's stuff like these where it's like it's just fun. You can pick it up, you can play whatever character you want, and it's just fun. You're just gonna have a good time no matter if you lose or not. You can choose so many different styles. The mechanics are well explained. There's a battle pass and all these things, sure. But again, it's so overcomplicated, you don't even want to deal with it. So it doesn't even rob the money out of your pockets because you just don't want to deal with it. And I think that's great. No, but in all honesty, I think that Marvel Rivals truly takes it for me over any other shooter game that is either like co-op or single or whatever, just because I am not required to be good at aiming. And I love that mechanic about the game. And that's really all I have to say. And because I only have 1 minute left, here's where I give you my final argument why you should play this game.
let's give it up. I gave you a few extra seconds just to let that finish.
Thank you. Let me just get back a little bit. There. Okay. Now you've got best ball.
All right, let's open up the questions.
You did mention a battle pass. I do just want to offer a sort of supporting sort of argument for this. This is one of the few games where you can have it not expire, so there's no like time pressure. I feel like that's an important thing, because all these games where they're just wanting to hit you with FOMO and everything, I want to give that as a point in its favor. But my sort of question is, again, sort of about longevity. I know it's been brought up about previous entries and things. This is season 0 in Marvel. Do you think that this is going to follow the right path to stick and land as an essential game that's going to be around for a long time? Or is like an Overwatch situation going to happen where do you think they could take a wrong turn? I know it's really early to tell, but what's your gut feeling?
I mean, I think they already approached things from a different angle to Overwatch, where they gave every character their unique skill set. And I know that many critics have listed that as a negative aspect about the game, but I think that's exactly what sets it apart from everything else, and why I think that it does have longevity, because you'll never tire of learning new characters. You'll never tire of playing new characters, because they're all different and they all work different in different ways. And as long as they keep that mechanic in the game, I think that it can outlast a really long time.
Fair enough.
So, kind of a follow-up question to Yogi's, because he did kind of take a chunk of my question, but I guess more of a pointed question about the longevity. Something that happens a lot with these games that are especially like kind of presented as like a game as a service, right? There's going to be these updates, and it's meant to be this thing that persists, right? And they're online versus games, right? The primary gameplay loop is you interacting with other actual people, right, playing the game. Is that there's like this arms race of kind of getting better at the game, right? And like in-game competitive systems kind of reinforce this, right? And what happens with so many of them, right, is if you like look at their track record, you look at their concurrent player count, there ends up being this point, right, where the casual player base leaps, because the skill floor to enjoy yourself has just gotten so high, right, that it kicks them out. The fun has been optimized away. What sets Marvel Rivals apart such that it's difficult or impossible to optimize that fun away? Or is that not the case? Is there some other reason that casual players will, stick around?
It's pretty much kind of what I've tried to already highlight in my presentation, where it's not completely aim focused. You do not need, for instance, Jeff, you don't need perfect aim to play this character and be useful on him. Some people may call that a toxic character. I call it a beginner and casual friendly character, because
Sure.
he gets 2-shot, so he's not too OP, and you can still contribute to the team without having much skill. And I think as long as they keep characters like this in the game, casual people or casual players and beginners will always have an entryway into still having fun in this game and enjoying it.
Sure.
I have a question, if I may. Thank you. I'm used to games like this, for instance, Overwatch, getting pretty toxic. So how is Marvel Arrivals doing with that? And is there like ways to combat that? Or is it just, play with a full team of friends and that's the only way to avoid it?
Admittedly, I'm sorry, I'm very limited in my ADHD. So when I focus on the game, I don't essentially focus on the chat. So I can't give an objective answer to this. But from what I've seen, it's nothing out of the ordinary, I'd say you'd experience in these games. For me, it's actually been a lot more pleasant as an experience. Like when I think of League of Legends or Overwatch, or like, I don't know, even Fortnite, where people are like teabagging on your corpse, right? You've got people like asking for heals or being like, "Oh, why did you heal me sooner?" But I think you're gonna have these in every co-op game that follows these kind of mechanics. But there's nothing where I would say this person was so rude and so atrocious, I have to actually report or ban them. I haven't really encountered that in the game yet. So I would argue that it's actually very tame in its player base compared to other shooters of its kind.
Cool.
Did you have one, Raimi?
Yeah. I heard Battle Pass, and my brain's like, no. What's the monetization model? Because the issue of games like this and Overwatch is exploitative business practices. Does it have a rotating storefront where there's limited skins and stuff? Because I just find that sort of thing really egregious.
They have time limited events that are tied to skins, but as far as I know, those are kind of like you play the event, you get achievements for it, you get points, and then you can obtain everything. I haven't really, like Yogi said, the battle pass also doesn't really refresh, so I don't think it's rotating. But I'd have to double check on that. I'm not entirely sure about that. It's like I never look at battle passes. I'm just very immune to these type of things. Like I don't even look at them. So I haven't really checked to see if the contents are gonna like toggle through. But Yogi also said that it doesn't reset. So I would like to think that it doesn't rotate.
If you purchase the battle pass, it's like $5 or whatever it is. It'll never expire, so you can always work your way through it. So if you want to engage in that side of things, that's completely up to you. There's no like loot boxes or anything like that.
Better than average then.
Yeah. We're still early for skins, so I don't know how they're dealing with that because still season 0. So I don't know if they're gonna roll stuff out, take it away or what.
Yeah, that's actually really surprising to hear, no loot boxes. I honestly just kind of would have assumed up to this moment, honestly hadn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it just strikes me as like very expensive skins will be the way to go for that. Yeah. I
That
do
might
have
be.
I have another maybe a couple of questions here, but they might be tough. I'm sorry in advance, but here we go.
You're fine.
And of course, I mean, we just open up to the panel if you can, because there's some questions here that I can't answer because I haven't played a lot of this to experience all the different things in here. But like, so one of my experiences with the game has been like actually having some pretty bad times with like even playing with friends, getting into matches where like it just gets really tough and it's just not working, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know why. Is it the team composition? Do we need to change something that's going on, right? And we're not yelling at each other, but we're definitely like at the point where that match ends and we're like, F this. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go to bed, type of thing. And then I'm the kind of person who's like, all right, guys, go to bed. And then I stay on for another couple hours, or no, it's not a couple hours. I stay on for like however long I need until I can play till I win. And then I win a match and then I go to bed. Right. And so I guess my question would be like, what are the different things that you can do to get around that? And it would tie into a second question around like, how does ranked work? Like, does ranked help with that, or does ranked hurt with that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
So, in the reviews I've read and the experience that I've made, it's very much the game is so new. There's kind of like you can't exactly strategize. There's this formula where it's like you need to have at least 2 tanks. Like that's the thing, right? You need to at least have 2 tanks because if you have one, he's gonna get singled out and then he's just gonna die and you're just gonna all get obliterated. Then having at least 1 healer is nice. Having 2 is also pretty nice. But then it also like you have characters who are more focused on healing, like Luna, Snow, Jeff, and then you've got characters who are also like they're bringing more utility, like Mantis, for instance, right? So it kind of always, I think, depends very heavily on the composition as a whole. If you play with random people, obviously that's going to be tougher because everyone is just going to be like, oh, I want to play DPS, unga bunga damage, let's go. And then they're not going to hit a single shot, and you're going to be like, brother. But you have these in every game, and I think that's kind of like you just gotta like brush it off, like get back on the horse and all that good stuff. But what I personally think is different about Rivals is that because there's so much utility in the game, and because there is a lack of strategy, quote unquote, there aren't people that can abuse said strategy. So it's literally just you just have to be decent at the character that you play and be aware of the map that you're on, and you should be fine. It's kind of like that. At least that's the experience that I've made for my end.
Thanks.
And also, sorry about the ranked question. I haven't played ranked myself, but I've watched Yogi and friends play some couple ranked games, and I think that's kind of the same. I would say. You wanna answer that, Yogi?
I feel like people are more willing to flex and do stuff to win in ranked. I found out that when I started out at the very bottom rank, everybody was just open, let's get the right comp. Then there's like a little middle ground where people are kind of lost in the sauce, but then it works itself out. So it's everybody wants to think that they're the most important person on the team, so that's not something that you can really impact. But for the most part, it's been okay.
Thanks. I just wanted to sneak in sorry, Eddie.
Oh no, go ahead, please.
I just want to sneak into one last thing. This last thing for me is just the huge thing for me in these kind of games is just what is the publisher or the developer stance, like the management of this game. What is their stance on community moderation and management and all this kind of stuff, right? Because when I play these games, I am so used to seeing like racist things and sexist things and all kinds of terrible shit that I just, sorry for swearing, that I just filter it out, right? So I don't even see it, right? But playing games with friends, and they mentioned, they're like, oh yeah, man, there's like these racist names all over the place and all this kind of stuff, right? And you actually go look at it and you look at some things that are there, you're like, wow, okay, yeah, that's bad. And so it becomes important to me then to look at, like, what are they going to do about that stuff? Do you have report options, and what is their stance? Like from what you've been able to tell, what is their stance on this?
You definitely have report options. There's also a filter in the game that just disables every kind of swear or slur by default. That's what I've discovered. You can, there's a report option. The dev stance on it. See, you're a game journalist. You would know this kind of stuff. I did not think to prepare for that when I went to introduce this game. So I cannot tell you that, but I can look it up afterwards if you'd like me to and DM you the answer to that.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry.
So this is kind of a not intending to scoop the chat questions, but a couple of questions to this effect have been asked. And it's a little bit of a riff on the previous question that I asked, where a couple of people have said, you know, one of the things that you've pointed at as being really fun about the game is like there's this relative lack of strategy, and there's like kind of a complexity factor that ends up working for it. How much of those things do you think are like really genuinely impenetrable versus it's a new game and people haven't like actually figured out like what the strategy is and you know how to crack these systems and like you know kind of game them, if you will, right? Like how much of that is just you know a matter of time, because of course this is you know like an essential, right, that we're discussing.
Mm. So, I mean, first of all, it's in its infant stages, right? So there's already more characters being introduced very soon. Um, and I think that just by introducing characters, it keeps the dynamics of that element alive, where every new character is going to shift the dynamics. Every new character is going to shift the strategies, because you have something they bring to the table that would completely nullify something that has been considered OP before, right? That's what good game development is, and that's what also partly balancing in this game is about, aside from nerfs to characters. So I think on that vein, it's probably not gonna be completely impenetrable. I do think that there's gonna be some core characters that are gonna like get picked because they're just safe to get picked because of their kit or how they function. That's how every competitive co-op game I think works at the end of the day. But there's also going to be new characters introduced to these dynamics that can completely shift the meta or completely shift a strategy or completely shift how you play that game.
Cool. Okay. Just a rotating kind of
Mm.
cast to keep people on their toes.
Pretty much, yeah.
I guess I'll throw out a question. I like how passionate you are about just being able to jump in and just play, just have a good time. It kind of reminds me of back in the day, I would just jump in and play Team Fortress 2, which is basically the grandfather of all these hero shooters. But I kind of miss how it was back in the day, and I don't find myself playing it very much at all anymore. Do you still think that you will be playing Marvel Rivals like 10 years from now?
I could see myself there, yeah. I could see myself there.
Okay.
I mean, perhaps it's a very bold comparison to make, but if you look at other games of this kind, right? I'm not sure if it has the potential to kick off like that, but League of Legends, for instance, follows that kind of principle, and I reckon that it is still around because of the huge esport community that evolved around it. I don't know if there will be an esports community that evolves around Marvel Rivals. I think it could be fun if there was. But I see a lot of potential for this game to really be something where it can kick off, especially because there is already in the game a competitive mechanic where you can play for money. So, in that regard, I think if this game actually, like, if the developer don't fumble on this, I think this game has a lot of potential to be a big staple of its kind in the industry in years to come.
I think you basically answered everything that the chat has brought up through either questions we've given or other, just in your presentation.
Okay.
Any more questions for the panel?
I mean, why are you such a Marvel shill? Why not DC rivals? You know, like
You mean Injustice?
You gotta ask Marvel Studios about that. I don't know why Marvel games would release a game about Marvel characters. Like that's so stupid. I don't know. I can't tell you.
They really should have reached across the aisle and done a crossover, you know?
I mean, there could be crossovers in the future. You never know.
I think Rena's just been paid off by Big Jeff.
I mean, look at him. Look at him. Do it for Jeff.
I cannot argue with that.
Yeah, I think that's everything. No other questions coming
Yeah.
in, so.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening.
Another round. Another hand. We got 2 games left. Interesting selection so far. Let's see if it
big
keeps
anthem
up.
time. It is.
Simi.
Yup.
Do it for Jeff. Do it for Atham.
Oh.
Atham, do something interesting, quick.
How interesting can I be with a notebook and a pencil?
Draw a picture of Jeff.
Draw a picture of Jeff. Okay, I'll try.
Who starts talking about Street Fighter again?
Oh man!
Can't wait for Simi to bring out Street Fighter 5 or like
I
Tekken
know.
6.
Yeah, completely.
Oh god, I thought we had a problem because it wouldn't pick up my media player, but finally it did. Ooh, that was scary. Okay. Let's
I
see.
could take some Atham interpretive dance if that's needed, you know.
He's drawn.
I'm trying.
Okay. I think it's up. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm going to point out my whole presentation is the video. I'm going to be sitting here and staring at myself. So just to make sure the panelists have to actually be listening to the video to get the presentation.
Does that mean I'm
Okay.
muting the stream, right?
I mean, you can just like unmute the actual Discord stream.
Ah, very good.
Yeah, just like make sure you can hear that.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Ready when you
Think
are.
so?
What's with the drawing? Also,
Oh my
for
God,
some
it's
reason, it
beautiful.
skipped ahead to 1 minute, 27 seconds. So I'm going to try to get it back to 0. We'll see how it goes. It's not going. What do I do? It won't go to 0. Help.
Does the like start from beginning, like go back button work, or is that gonna take you to the previous video?
Nothing's happening. Also, it appears to be like 3 or 2 minutes shorter than it's supposed to be. So I'm confused.
Well, let's see what happens.
Ooh, I'll press play and we'll see.
There we go.
I tried to think of a game that has stuck in my mind as more than a game. Something I've experienced and almost wish I could forget so I could play it again for the first time. I thought of a couple, but the one that stuck out was Journey. It left such a strong imprint on me that I kept playing for years. I strongly believe that it transcends being just a video game. It's visual and auditory storytelling at its finest. Journey is, in my opinion, an epilogue essential, because it is, at its core, everything EG is about. So what makes Journey unique? In its simplest form, Journey is an indie adventure game. Just a 1-hour walking simulator experience. You control a red-robed little figure. Your only purpose is to reach the mountain you see in the distance. You walk, glide, and fly through the desert, and eventually reach the end of your journey. The views are breathtaking, and the music is superb. just by playing and doing a bit of exploring, you start piecing together what happened to the world and what your purpose is. I think the coolest aspect about Journey is the companion co-op gameplay, which is pretty unique in the gaming industry. You connect with a completely random player, you play anonymously, and you can't speak. There's no text chat. All you can do is chirp and use body language. This eliminates the need for a shared spoken language. You can connect with anybody across the world and share in the same experience. And people of all ages are able to play. If you wish to talk to that person after the game, you can send them a message. There's also a massive community of Journey players you can connect with on Discord, Twitch, and YouTube. In its most complex form, Journey can take multiple hours. I think my personal record was about 12 hours with the same person on a single run. Journey is full of possibilities for level breaking, which essentially quadruples the gameplay area and can result in really funny, cool, and beautiful glitches. In fact, people are still discovering new glitches today, 13 years after the game's release. There are also cool ways to take advantage of physics and movement mechanics, which allow you to fly higher and faster than you'd expect. If speedrunning is your thing, there are active speedrunners of Journey as well. And also a Journey modding community if you want to break games even more. And apart from the unique gameplay and stunning visuals, the soundtrack composed by Austin Wintory is some of the finest work out there. It's instantly recognizable and well thought out. There's nuance to it all. For instance, the music changes depending on if you're alone or with a companion. Even your chirp can change depending on where you are. The music can change in real time depending on objects you activate or creatures you touch. The instruments sort of play with each other to form a story, an atmosphere. The music expresses emotions of what is happening around you because there are no spoken words. Wintory himself has described the cello in particular as representing you, the character, while the other instruments represent the world around you. To summarize, Journey is a piece of art that connects you to strangers through a shared emotional experience. It's such a simple, peaceful, and beautiful game. I would love for everyone to experience it at least once. I know it's perhaps not a game that everyone will love. However, it'll only take about 1 hour of your time, so give it a go. It might surprise you. And there you go.
All right, let's give Simi a hand.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank
Open
you
up
for
the
that.
questions from the panel and chat.
I have a question. Is this
Yes.
from the same devs as Sky?
Yes, this is,
I knew
I think, one of their first games. Sky came after. Yeah.
Yeah. Sky is pretty new. Because like I've played the heck out of Sky. I love that game. The
Mhm.
one thing that turned me away from Sky though was that there were enemies in the game that I had to like
Mhm.
kind of like hide and dodge around. Does Journey have that?
Journey has that. The game is sort of split into a few levels. 2 of them have sort of monsters that can attack you, but they are pretty easy to avoid. So I wouldn't say that it's like a big deal. It's
Okay.
not like you're not fighting enemies in that classical sense.
Because like I remember in Sky, there are like no spoilers, but there are like these huge creatures, and they have this red light that just looms around, and it scared the crap out of me. Like it's especially because it's such a music base experience. And I was like, okay, that was the most terrifying experience I've ever made in that game. And then when I proceed to the next level, the whole scenery was full of them. I was like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
One was enough to deal with. So in that way, I just wanted to know if Journey has that as well, or if it's more tame.
It's, I would say, more tame for sure. Yeah.
All right.
And especially if you're playing with a more experienced person, they know exactly what to do, and you'll be fine.
Okay. Can I also team up with a friend, or is it uncontrollable? What I end up with?
There are ways that you can try to organize a journey with a friend. It can be done if you know what you're doing. Like in the first level, there are certain triggers that you can do in a specific order to make it more likely that you'll match up with a friend. It's not guaranteed, but yeah, I've done it myself plenty of times.
Cool.
I think the game is old enough at this point that there aren't as many people running, so it's pretty likely that if you just play it on stream, someone in the chat will jump on and join you on your journey.
Yeah.
Hey. I see what you did there.
And the Journey community does that a lot. They will like scout out Journey streams and like try to snipe you because they think it's fun and want to show you a good time.
So, kind of as a riff on that in the opposite direction, one of my biggest concerns, I don't think that this is probably a legitimate concern with this game, but in general, with games where you get paired with a small number of people, especially as small as like one other person, that person ends up having a lot of impact on your experience. Have there been instances, or does that other player have the capacity to, I don't want to say ruin the experience, but make it a lesser experience than it otherwise could be? Do you think that, like, that other person being kind of like a fundamental, component, could give some people a lesser experience?
There are certainly people that I've encountered that can like maybe behave in a way that I wouldn't prefer. They can maybe be stuck in a specific place and refuse to move on, even when you want to move on. That's not an issue in Journey because you can just move on and you'll be paired up with somebody new. You're not stuck with that one person for the entire run. So you can meet several people while you're playing if you don't find somebody that you don't connect with. But I would say that it's very rare. Usually the experience is very good, and I do find the game better when I'm playing with a companion for sure. Not just because it's more fun to play around with a person, but it's also game mechanics. Because when you're alone, you can fly a certain amount, but if you have a companion who's chirping next to you, they actually give you flying power. So you can fly further and longer with a companion. So just moving becomes easier with a companion. So there's definitely worth to it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely got the vibe that like the kind of players you're gonna interact with aren't going to be the type to, intentionally sabotage your experience. But anytime there's like this, kind of one-on-one, equal footing thing, there's always that
Yeah, for sure.
that worry.
Yeah. And I do think that it's one of those rare games where it's very hard to be toxic or mean to somebody else.
Yeah.
Just in general, the people who are playing now are all very sort of nice, kind people. It's one of the best online communities I've ever been in. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Just one thing I've always noticed about Journey is there's a lot of like sand. It's in a desert. What's the environmental storytelling like? It all seems kind of bland. Obviously, the player character stands out like a sore thumb against all the sand, but like the places you want to go, are they visually appealing enough that you want to go over there, or is there a way that it guides you with its environment? Just with it all being very deserty, I've always been hesitant to just kind of get lost in there.
Some of the areas are more open and some are more linear, but there's usually like something in the distance that is kind of drawing you in and pointing where you're supposed to go. The big mountain being one of the things. And you can always sort of find little things along the way that catch your attention and keep you going. But I don't want to spoil too much, but it doesn't stay just beige, gold, sandy.
Okay.
It does change
Okay.
for sure.
That's good.
And it is seriously very pretty.
Worst case scenario, your partner can help you, guide you a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I also don't know if it's the same as in Sky, but I've explored, and at some point you just hit invisible walls if you're not
Yeah.
supposed to go further.
Yeah. In Journey, they're called wind walls. You get met by an impenetrable wall of wind, and you
Okay.
end up
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
You're not going to
going
just
back
get
like
randomly lost or
No.
anything. Okay.
no.
Okay.
No. And I would say even in the biggest area that I can think of, it has some like creatures that if they notice that you get lost, they guide you. So
Okay.
you'll be fine.
Thank you. Anyone else on the panel?
I'm trying to think how to phrase a question I have or like concern. I remember back when I played this, I felt like I was being nudged along a little bit too much by my companion. Like they were opening doors and things that I kind of wanted to figure it out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really given the opportunity to, and I just at that like about halfway through, I just felt like, okay, I'm just gonna rush through everything and get to the end rather than enjoy my journey.
Yeah, that's
Not really sure how to explain that in the question form. That's just a concern I have with this potential co-op.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, like, in response to that?
I mean, I can see that happening for sure. I guess one way is to just play it offline and not to have a companion, so you could just figure it out yourself and explore. Take your time, for sure. That's a way to do it.
Oh,
But I do get your point though that you kind of want to explore yourself and not have somebody hold your hand the whole way. It's a tricky thing with a game like this.
I'll follow up.
I guess it
on-
also depends on who you have with you. Like,
Yeah.
if you have someone in the chat with you, you can communicate to them. But if you have a random person online, it's a little bit trickier.
Hmm.
I just wanted
Are
to
you-
follow up on
Oh.
sorry.
Go for it, Ethan.
Just thinking about how the co-op stuff works. Like myself, I'm somebody that likes to follow. Actually, it's weird. I'm like the little brother type thing. So when I play with my older brother, he tends to lead, right? But I know for him when we play this kind of games, he doesn't like these kind of situations where you can enter into somebody else taking over and not taking over, but like leading the thing and exploring things too fast before he gets the chance to explore. And we were playing a game called Bokura, which is this kind of like two-player co-op kind of experience. And the really cool thing about Bokura, the way that they handled this kind of a situation, is that each player, they gave them something specific that player and only that player can do, and before you can advance, that player needs to do something, right? And so like it was a really nice way to make sure that each player has their thing that they can take their time with and explore, right? So in this game, then I'm just thinking, does it do stuff similarly like that, where like each player has their role and there are things that only they can do, or no?
I cannot think of anything that would be like that. It's kind of designed that you can play it either on your own or with a companion, so you have to be able to do it all like as one person.
Yeah. And
So I think
that's not,
that would be a minus then for sure.
I mean, that's not to say that every game needs to be designed the same way and all this kind of stuff. I think then, like, what it would push me to is to say, okay, well, either I need to do this kind of thing where we're saying, okay, let's figure out how we can link up on multiplayer with people that I know, or choose to play the game, experience it by myself solo, right? Is
Yeah.
kind of where I get pushed to. Yeah.
You can do more with a partner, though. You can recharge each other to fly further
Yeah.
and take some shortcuts.
That was actually a bit tied to a question that I still have. I noticed that I'm comparing this a lot to Sky because it's from the same developer. Excuse me. In Sky, there were secrets or specific parts that you could only unlock or go in when you had someone that you actually played with together. In terms of if I want to 100% this game, do I need a partner or can I achieve that on my own still?
Most of it you can do on your own, but some of the achievements you can't do without companions.
Okay.
But I would say, like, in the sort of regular area of play, that you can do everything on your own.
Okay.
Except some of the glitches if you want to go that way, but yeah.
Just a little thing just brought up in chat. How obvious is it that your companion is another person? Like, does it ever explicitly tell you that, or are you just supposed to like infer that?
It doesn't tell you that. I've actually met a few people who didn't know that their companion was a real person, which is actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
but
it's just what Ash saying in chat that they didn't know
Yeah.
it was an actual person. So
yeah. But if you like, if you do what I did in the video, you can fall on your face, you can dance, you can do silly things, walk in a figure eight. Like, you can do multiple things to, make it visible that you're a person.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
It does
Uh,
tell you at the end, though.
Oh,
Yes.
Like in the credits, it'll like tell you who your companion was.
Yep. Or companions if you met
Right.
multiple.
Right.
Can I imagine the dissonance of going all the way through having this meaningful experience, then reading, a gamer tag in the credits at the end.
Yeah.
Some kind of varied result that could have.
that's great. I don't think there was really any questions from chat there, from what I'm reading. So, does anybody else have anything?
Yeah.
Nope. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Give a hand to Simi. Good stuff, like always. And we have one presentation left.
I do. And I'm realizing, I'm going to share the screen. I may need to. I'm on an ultra wide, so I'm not actually terribly confident that this is going to play nice. I can move it to not an ultra wide, though.
Oh no, still big Atham.
Yeah.
Jeff! Jeff!
Now, can you give Jeff the scarf from Journey?
Oh, yes! It expands.
We'll bring normal Atham back.
Just realized that my title is, or my title slide is kind of giving it away a little bit, but
Oh! Okay, I'm not surprised you brought that one. Nice.
I'm a little surprised I brought it, but we'll see.
I know the struggles that Eddie has had picking a game. I think the shortlist was 8 games at one point. So.
Yeah, the shortlist was 8. Okay, yeah, just whenever I'm good to go, Rowan, or whenever you have the timer ready.
Yeah, I have it ready. Just let me know when you, or I'll start when you go.
Okay. So I decided to bring The Witness. This is one of those games that, admittedly, is difficult to talk about. Because in a somewhat similar vein to other games that you've probably heard before, like Outer Wilds and things like that, it's a game that is best experienced spoiler-free. And so I'm going to do my utmost to make sure that I preserve that experience as best I can for you. And instead, I want to talk about a perspective on it that I think that a perspective on what it's about, and I think that like what it can do for you. And I don't think that going in with this perspective would worsen the experience. In fact, I think it would potentially even improve the experience for you. So with all that being said, if you've not played, that's okay. And I kind of want to get this perspective by asking the question, what should games do? I think that this is a really familiar question to people in EG. And I think that there's a lot of really, really good answers to this question. I think one of the kind of conventional answers is that it should entertain me, right? I think that another fairly conventional answer is that it should challenge me in some way, right? Whether mechanically or intellectually. And I think that a related question that we often encounter, and that is also really relevant for this perspective, is what can games do? Like, not just like what do we want to try to get them to do for us, but also like what is actually their limit, right? What is the extent of what a game can do for us just by playing it, just by spending that time experiencing it. And I think that, one of the like this is something that there's a lot, back and forth over, silly things like reaction time improvements. That's not really the kind of thing that I'm going to be talking about. Rather, I want to talk about what can be done with these two pieces, with challenge and with intention. Because to me, the witness fundamentally is if you keep your mind open to it, it's an educational game for adults. And what I mean by that is that I think that it tries to take a concept as a vessel, the way it designs its puzzles, and it tries to express the act of learning to learn through that vessel. And it does this by incrementally increasing the challenge and doing so in a very intentional kind of way. The way that the world is laid out can often be a point of contention with people who play the game, and so can the heights of challenge that the game gets to. One of the biggest things that people rail against this game is how hard it can be. But learning how to learn is never very well, it's not always easy, I should say. And I think that one of the things that it does exceedingly well is that it goes through the process of looking at things in a new light and teaching us how to continuously try to extract the most information from a situation and try to reach a capital T truth insofar as we're able to. And I think that the idea that a game can educate us and can not just educate us but make us better at learning in general is not something that a lot of games even try to do. But I think that it's a thing that more games should do. I think that it's something that we don't ask enough of games, which is to enrich us and to give us something that we take with us out the other end. And I think that the witness does that. I think it teaches you to think better. Thank you.
All right. Give a round of applause to Eddie. Let's open up the questions from the panel first.
As someone that has played The Witness,
Yeah.
one small question that I have for people that have never played The Witness: what would you describe is this game about?
So other than like other than what I said with respect to like teaching you to learn, like some other thing.
Just like in simple layman's terms, what is this game?
It's a puzzle game. You solve puzzles beginning to end.
Could you expand on that? Because for like you've given a lot of like generic kind of, oh, this game is great at doing this, this, and this, but for people who
Right.
have never seen The Witness, never played it, you haven't even shown a picture of the game.
That's
Like,
true. That's true. I haven't.
What
That's
is The
true.
Witness? Like, okay, it's a puzzle game. What kind of puzzles? And is it open world? Is there something else to it? What is this game?
Right. So it is open world. It is open world. You open 2 doors, or 3 doors, and then you basically have access to the entirety of a Technicolor island. The colors are extremely exaggerated. It is beautiful to look at. Almost unnatural in its appearance. And what you do to get through these first 3 doors, that you have open access to this, I guess open world of puzzles wouldn't be an inaccurate way to say it. It has been compared to a Metroidvania or a Metroidvania in the sense that you, in order to get to places, you simply have to know things. You have to have learned things to gain access to places. So in that sense, there is like kind of a progression. But you solve panel puzzles, and I actually they're in my presentation. These dot line graphs, they are the puzzles. These are the simplistic ones that don't really have any, actual puzzle to them, but the way that you solve a puzzle is you start at a circle and you go to the end of a rounded off line. And every single puzzle in the game is some variation on that idea. And the way that you interact with the world is by solving these style puzzles. And there's one other thing that serves to kind of, I think, elevate it. And without giving too much away, there is kind of an infusion of it's very good at making you think. The game has a way to talk about a lot of topics in a kind of roundabout way that I think sets a really good tone for for learning and for keeping your mind open to new ways to look at not just the game but the world in general.
I have a
Go for it.
thanks. Yeah, I have a follow-up question. That has spurred a couple of follow-up questions to me. So I guess the first one I'd lead off with is how does this game deal with getting stuck in puzzles? Because I feel like that's where I would end up. I just must have stolen the question or something.
That's a phenomenal question. No, that's a phenomenal question. That is actually one of the biggest components that makes me that leads me to my conclusion about why it is so good at teaching us to learn. Because a lot of the time in life, right, we come up against things that are really difficult for us to understand or really difficult for us to work through. And invariably, one of two things always ends up happening, right? We brute force our way through it. We eventually, we manage it. That tends to be the less pleasant of the outcomes. Where the other outcome, right, is that we wise up, we realize maybe there's a better way to go about this, or maybe there's something somewhere I can be spending my time better. And I think that one of the things that The Witness does really well is by specifically, intentionally revealing puzzles to you, challenging you by putting it right in front of you, things that you can't possibly know how to solve yet. It tries to. In doing my research, I heard one of the comparisons was in Dark Souls, there's like these early enemies called the Dark Knights, right? And they're these really, really high level enemies that if you face them with what you have when you find them, you're gonna get, curb stomped over and over and over and over. And maybe you eventually, learn enough about them specifically that you can take them down, right? But if you just avoid them, come back later, it's a walk in the park. And that is something that The Witness does. And I think that in general, the reason it does that is because it's an important skill when you are learning new things. If something doesn't make sense, it's not just a matter of having to hit your head over it, enough times, so much as there might be more context. There might be a simpler on-ramp that you can take instead of just having to climb the wall, right? But before I know I'm rambling, I apologize, but I will say there are absolutely parts of the game where you can't do that. It is just, this is what you have to do. But I think that with very, very few exceptions, and I will admit there are exceptions, absolutely, but I think with very few exceptions, when you don't have the option to do something else, the puzzle is fair.
Okay, thanks.
On that vein, as someone who gets easily impatient and discouraged, like I hate and love The Witness. I'm gonna finish this fucking game one day. But what would you recommend for these people to not get turned off by this game? Because as someone who's played this and as someone who is impatient and easily loses drive because of if things are too hard, I don't want to play them anymore. So what do you feel this game offers as a motivation to keep people on the line, that they come back to it and they're like, I want to finish this game?
Yeah. I think that one of the things is that you do not need to do every single puzzle in order to beat the game. It's just not. It's not a strict requirement. There is wiggle room in how much of the game you must play before you can, beat it, quote unquote. Watch the credits roll, right? And I think that it's another one of those things that I think that it ends up with this perspective of it being about learning to learn. It can really be actually about teaching a skill there, in the sense of when something gets too frustrating, when it feels like for your personal, willingness, your capacity, that something is taking too long, that unless, you've run into that already, 4 or 5 times, there's got to be another place you can go, right? You're going to have to hit that wall quite a bit to run out of areas to go to. And by time, you have run into it several times, ideally there will be intermediate, places that you do fully clear, that you do crest that hill, right, and get to plant your flag and think that you understand the thing, and demonstrably do, right? and then you can take a crack back at those other things. I think that it does a good job of having enough content in it that you're able to, separate yourself from whatever feels too difficult or frustrating, and come back to it.
You mentioned that the puzzles are mainly made up of these like dot and line puzzles. Is it
Yes,
really?
yeah.
Is it a very sort of 2D plane that we're working with? Like it's very flat and it's a grid, or is there more spatial puzzles that would be sort of around the world that you'd be working with as well? It's just with my experience, like my favorites are like Portal and the Talos Principle, where I'm actually like doing things in the world and lining things up and things like that. So is there anything similar?
Absolutely. When I say that the entire game is iterations on this mechanic, iterations is doing a lot of lifting. It iterates on this idea very, very substantially and in lots of disjoint ways that are incompatible with each other but different and unique, and that use the world in very interesting ways. But that is a critique that has been leveled, that that there's a non-insignificant portion of the game that you could play on an iPad where it's just like a level select thing, right, where you're just going like panel to panel. But I think that there's more than enough that would not serve to justify, basically a first-person kind of like actually walking around an environment, type setup for this game. Not to mention, I think that perspective lends itself better to the learning angle, placing you more as the actual character going through these experiences.
It was just interesting hearing you tiptoe around specifically mentioning anything like spoilery, or just specific puzzles that use those, like any examples. You're just trying to avoid any examples.
Because it really is a game that is experience best, spoiler free. I think knowing this game does not sound neurospicy friendly. Yes, I think it actually is, and as someone who's very neurospicy. Sorry, I just saw that and it popped out to me because it is very. I think it's. I don't want to keep saying that it asks you to do this and it teaches you to do that, and it starts to sound like a chore. But I do think that it's a game where knowing your own limits is kind of a big part of getting the most out of it. And to that point, I think that going in and not being married to finishing the game in a certain period of time does a lot to remedy that element.
Any more questions from the panel?
I guess, yeah. I'm curious. Is there any storytelling elements to the game, or is it just puzzles?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. Isn't. So I have a lot of opinions on like narrative and gameplay and how those two things relate to each other, right? Ludonarrative, resonance and dissonance are like really, really important concepts to me, and I think that it's really for a game that's trying to do what I think that The Witness is trying to do. I think that it's very difficult to have a narrative that doesn't subtract the more substantial it is, if that makes sense. I think that it's difficult to write a narrative that is like very populated and not end up pulling away from the experience of the player like gaining a skill, if that makes sense. But to that end, I think that it toes that line actually very well. For me, one of my big questions going through is this is one of my big questions anytime I'm playing games, why? And I think that the game answered that in a way that was satisfactory to me. And that answer came through its, quote narrative.
Okay, I will ask the one remaining question from the chat. Kenneth says that he says an educational puzzle game teaches you how to learn. Would you say that is a game that makes you think a lot and question yourself often? Like, ask yourself, what are the rules as you understand them?
So, Candace is memeing a little bit. What are the rules as you understand them was the agreed upon phrase to try to get me to rethink what I was doing when I was playing through, because I played this in stream. Without like telling me that I was wrong, was like just very, very subtly like, what are the rules as you understand them? To like, trigger that reassessment. So it does. And I think that that's one of its great strengths, is that it is exceedingly good at guessing what you are thinking and continuously showing you that actually there's an alternative way to have been thinking about this that potentially subsumes the way you were thinking about it, right? It does a very good job, I think, of constantly checking you and saying, broaden your perspective. It doesn't always succeed in that every time it tries to do that, but I think that it does it a substantial enough portion of the time and in a, convincing enough way that is absolutely worth the time put in to go through those motions and let it catch you on that and let it kind of mechanically draw you out into that broader perspective.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Let's give another hand to Eddie.
Thank you.
So now we get into the voting section of Epilogue Essentials, where we're going to go one by one. Everyone in the chat here is going to deafen, other than the one who's actually going to be voting. That way you're not going to influence your votes based on who goes before you. Like, if you know that someone is going to, like, if your 3 points is going to put one game above another, you don't want to influence it like that.
Should I end my screen sharing or keep it there so we don't have Big Atham and or Big Rainy?
I think we can keep the screen, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it's nice where it is, I think. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing I will say to chat is don't react to votes or spoil what the votes are. We're just going to keep it to the end. We're going to tally it up. I'm assuming Roy's not going to deafen this time and just tally up the scores real time.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So that sounds good. So we'll go in sort of draft order. Yeah, message deleted from Last Essentials. That's all you're allowed to say.
You can say other things, like if you want to. if you want to say hi or whatever. Don't spoil the order or anything.
Yeah, that's the only real ask there. Yeah.
If you want to ask why everyone's messages are getting deleted, you can do that.
I mean, everyone here is going to be relying on seeing the chat just to know when their turn is. Like, when Yogi's done giving his rankings, then they'll message like he's done, so Atham can go next. Keep in mind that the top three, your number 1 pick gets 3 points, your number 2 pick gets 2 points, number 3 pick gets 1 point. So there's ranked choice voting.
Yep.
And you can't vote for your own game, right?
Right. No. You don't vote for your own game. Like, what's the point in that? Everyone just pick their own game and get 3 points. Nothing happens.
Yeah. So,
and also one more thing: the bottom 3 games in both this vote and the chat vote will not be able to be brought back for a while.
Yes, they're banned for 6 months, a year. What is it? I think it was 6 months originally, but was it
might be 6 months.
I've heard both.
Yeah,
I've heard both. Honestly,
I don't think it's been settled.
Let's just say 6 months for now. Let's say 6 months, and unless something changes.
Yeah, I think the only game right now that can be brought back that either didn't make it in or just didn't make a top 3 is Stardew Valley, because there wasn't a tiebreaker system before. There is a tiebreaker system, so we're only picking 2 games, one from the panel and then one from chat.
Yeah, there's a tiebreaker now. If the chat ties, we'll go to our votes. And like if there's a tie here, then it'll go to which one got the most number 1 votes and the most number 2 votes.
Yep.
But if there still is a tie with that, then okay, you can both win.
Yeah. It's happened before. It's fine. Okay.
We have runoffs for the runoffs.
So yeah, we'll get into that. If everybody in Discord wants to deafen, I'll give my votes, and then I'll just leave so I don't deafen, and then stream can't hear you guys either.
Well, it's fine if you like just mute yourself since you're streaming it anyways.
Yeah, true.
You don't need to deafen, and you're presenting first, so.
Yep. Okay, I think is everybody deafened?
I don't see. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay, so my third place is going to be. I found this one quite tough. To pick like a third place 1 point. I will. I'm going to say The Witness as 1 point. I do like puzzle games, and it requiring me to think in different ways. That sounded very interesting. My second place, I'm going to go Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I feel like Remy made a really good argument as to why it's an essential. Someone who has played the older Monster Hunters, I can sort of get along with that thought process that there is like this divide and this difference, and it's sort of like a time capsule. I really appreciate that. And I think my 3 points, my first place is going to go to Journey. I really like the unique experiences that games can bring, and it really does sound like a unique experience that I'd be very much interested in. So I'll go Witness 1 point, Monster Hunter 2 points, Journey 3 points. And that's me.
Okay. Hello. 1 sec. Sorry. Hold. Okay, this is going to be a little bit hard for me. I don't feel like I'm so great at going off the cuff. But I benefited from a little bit of time to go over some notes here. So I think my number 1 game will be Journey. I think, the way that the pitch was made just what it did to me from an auditory perspective, and just listening to how the journey describes the journey, um, uh, and really what the game symbolizes made me think about why this game should be an epilogue essential. Because we're looking for games that represent art, storytelling, and all this like what for the culture. I don't know how else to explain that. And so it kind of stood out from that perspective for me, and that's why it's reached number one for me. Number two, I guess, is maybe a little bit more of a selfish pick. Number two is Monster Hunter Generations. And so and one of the driving forces behind picking this is because what Monster Hunter represents for video games in general. And to have a package of classic games that will be there on your Switch library that stands the test of time and gives you a way to get into Monster Hunter and experience that whole loop, I think is something that should be essential for people to experience. Um, you know, anyway, so that's kind of why that has ended up at number two for me. And then number three for me is The Witness. And so I don't like I have witnessed a little bit of The Witness, primarily watching Eddie's stream there, but I haven't watched it a whole lot. And so it was hard for me to understand like in the guts of it, like how does this game work? But understanding that it's a puzzle game that represents a journey of learning how to learn, really stood out to me, and it speaks to me because that's kind of where I've been throughout my life, is continuously learning, going through failures, learning from them, improving, and always seeking to improve in that way. And I guess that's what Eddie conveyed to me through that, and so it that's why it ended up on my list. I don't know. I hope that works. That's it for me. I need to see. I can't remember who's next. I don't know if Roy, if you're listening, can you help me out? I'm done. Yeah, it's Rainy. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, you're on your own.
Okay. I'm in an interesting position here where I've played very few of these, and in fact, I know very little about most of them as well. So I think if we're meant to be listening to the arguments as opposed to basing it off of prior knowledge and stuff, I think Journey would be the one that I would rate the highest. I think the choice of using a video was definitely a strong way to kind of sell the beauty of the game. It's not my cup of tea personally. I'm not really interested in a game of that style. But I think the fact that it's only an hour, it's got such an interesting, unique mechanic with the system where you can play with anybody from around the world, and there's no communication is really cool. The fact that it breaks through language barriers is fantastic. Yeah, I'd say in terms of what encapsulates an essential game, I've only ever heard praise for it. It looks beautiful. It's an incredible idea. In terms of just raw execution, I think it's the winner. I'd be surprised if it doesn't win this because it's such a strong pick. My second pick, I would say, is Disco Elysium. Again, a game I've got absolutely no clue of, and Yogi had the hardest job because his presentation was just a still image, and I think he still really sold me on it. His passion for it is clear. The description of Kim, I believe it was, as just a character who, like basically like Yogi's come to like love as a friend, like, as you would a real person, tells me the narrative capacity of the game is just through the roof. Tabletop kind of mechanics are really appealing to me as well. And the kind of thought-provoking nature of it. I just think, I think Yogi did a really good job selling it in terms of just the breadth of scale of what the game offers. And then my third pick is a tough one, but I think I'm going to give it to Street Fighter. I think Atham did a really good job of his presentation, again, through the use of video. I think that's the only one I have prior experience of, so it's hard to not be a little bit biased. It is the strongest entry in the series. But I think kind of his arguments that modern controls open up the accessibility. It has a really strong online. It has the most comprehensive story mode. I think as far as kind of an essential fighting game, you'd struggle to find anything else. So that's my 3. Thank you.
Hi, Chad. Now it's just you and me. No. All right. So my votes. I'm gonna give my 3 points to Journey because I think Simi put forward a beautiful presentation, and also as someone who's played a game from the same dev, I've had a wonderful time with the game, so I can definitely see this become an Epilogue Essential for sure. So that's my first choice. My second vote goes to Disco Elysium. English. So my second vote goes to Disco Elysium, just because Yogi presented it in a very good way that it just made it sound appealing for me. Like, I got curious about the game, that I'd love to try it out, and I could see this become a community thing where people share their experiences about playing this game, or even maybe like Flora writing an article about it. So that's why my 2 points go to Disco Elysium. And then the last one was close, but I'm gonna go with Monster Hunter, the game that Remy presented, because I know there's a recent hype that has started around Monster Hunter. And I think that because a lot of people in EG are very about essentials, classics, basics, I think that I could see Monster Hunter becoming one of these games, even though it's not available on PC, just because of the quote unquote retro aspect. I think that could draw a lot of people in to actually get into the game and play the game. And also because I've had a bit of experience playing with it, and I think it could be very enjoyable. And yeah, that's my votes. See you soon.
Yes, hello. I'm a little concerned about how long people were talking. I don't have that much to say, but my top 3 pick was Atham Street Fighter 6. At first I was a little hesitant because I'm not usually a fighting game person, but Atham's sort of arguments won me over that it's more of an approachable fighting game than most. So I think that's why I picked it. My second second place game would be The Witness by Eddie. I think it's a very sort of difficult game to talk about, so I can appreciate Eddie having a tough time answering the questions because you can't really say everything because it'll spoil the whole game. But I think it's sort of like a very EG game. So that's why it's number 2 for me. And my number 1 pick would be Yogi's Disco Elysium because it is core Epilogue gaming. It is all about storytelling and narration and like pretty visuals and all that. So that would be why it's my number 1 pick.
Hello. So, most of my decisions, my choices are pretty straightforward. I say pretty straightforward in the sense that I know my 1 and 2, and I think I know my 3, but I'll walk through it. So, my number 1 choice is definitely Journey. Not just because it's one that I've known about for a long time but haven't played, but have been told like countless times you gotta play it. But also I think that more than that, because of like what really the decision is meant to be made over, right? Is that the argument for it, I think, was exactly what I kind of imagine an Essential to be. The idea of a contained experience that kind of propels you on this emotional and like potentially transformative journey. I think is absolutely what makes the most sense of any kind of category of game to be an Epilogue Essential. So number 1 hands down is Journey, but following up really close behind it is Disco Elysium. That's my number 2. And for Disco Elysium, I wrote down all my questions as like the presentations were going, so I could like look back when I got to voting and I could like think on it and everything. And all I had for Disco Elysium was, what if I want to do everything? And I feel like if your only question is like, what if I can't get literally everything out of the game because it takes too much time, you're in a pretty good spot. I think that the game is, has done what it's looking to do well. And I've heard nothing but good things about Disco Elysium. Its writing, how subversive it can be in its writing, right? Failure is not actually necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you may even want failure out of a circumstance, right? And I think that that's absolutely a characteristic that is really important for writing in video games to be recognized. And so I think it absolutely makes sense to have a game that really kind of champions that idea as an Epilogue Essential. And for my third choice, I'm torn. I'm torn between Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate and Street Fighter 6. On one hand, I think that both make very good essentials in the sense that I think there were good cases made for why they don't get aged out by their own franchise, right? For Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, goodness, I think Ray made a good argument about how, or a good case for the idea that like it captures that classic Monster Hunter and puts it in a bottle, and because we've already seen that departure from that formula, that it is this like best version of that, and I think that makes great. I think that positions it in very very well to be an essential. Street Fighter 6, on the other hand, I think has I think that Atha made a good case for it also being something that would stand the test of time, and I was reading others who are more familiar with it, saying that Street Fighter is one to not really repeat gimmicks, and so it kind of like each installation kind of stands on its own. And the other thing for Street Fighter is that it is trying to give a pathway for people to enter the fighting game genre, and I think that that's really fucking noble in the sense that it's not easy to get into fighting games. It is historically very difficult to get into fighting games. And I think that a game that, literally is like, developing new systems and new mechanics and new control schemes to try to facilitate that is really, really worth some recognition. So I'm torn. I'm really torn between those two as my third choice. I think I'm gonna go with Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate as my third. And the reason is because I think that although it doesn't have as big a scope with its goal as Street Fighter 6, trying to open this door wide open for the fighting game genre, I feel like it does a better job of being essential in not just an EG sense, but in like its own arena. It is like an essential Monster Hunter title. And so yeah, that's gonna be my number three. Those are my three. I think I'm good. Thanks for listening to me. Yeah.
All right, just waiting for everyone to undeafen. All right. So I'm not going to beat around the bush here. This was an actual clean sweep. Everyone gave this game their number one pick, except for the person who presented it.
I mean, let's be real. The moment the presentation started, we all knew who was gonna win this.
So yeah, our new inductee, our new Epilogue Essential is Journey.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Cool.
Winning.
I literally said I've never played it. I probably never will, but it's still essential. It's that good.
Our number 2 and 3 picks, ones that can be brought back in the future, are Disco Elysium at number 2 and Monster Hunter at number 3.
Nice. Right. Let me just set up a little poll for chat.
Yep, set up the chat poll. Keep in mind that the bottom 3 will not be able to be brought back for a while. So if you want to see Witness or Street Fighter or Marvel Rivals, they got to get in the top 2 in the chat poll. So whichever wins the chat poll is inducted, it's going to be an Epilogue Essential. Whatever is number 2 will be able to be brought back in the future, or like in the next 6 months or so. So even if your game is not going to be winning, you probably want it to be at least number 2, right?
Yeah.
Your vote matters. That's
Yeah.
the point.
Vote matters.
So here we go, chat. You got a poll. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate doesn't quite fit.
Favoritism.
I'm honestly not sure what I'll vote for, but... So. All right, now this is a good opportunity for y'all just to talk about your votes and how you felt about everything while the chat voting goes.
I mean, yeah, I picked Journey number 1 because I really I like experiences that I maybe can't get elsewhere. So that really drew me towards to Journey as an option. I put Monster Hunter second because my favorite Monster Hunter memories are the older ones, and the fact that it's like a little time capsule. I was really for that. And then The Witness was my third place because I'm a fan of puzzle games that'll make me think differently. I thought that was a good argument for it.
I feel like I went really quick, and this is going to be really quick again. But I mean, so for Journey, why I went number 1 with it was first of all, like, music is really important to me as a former amateur musician that chose to not go in that path because I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to make a career out of it. Emotionally, it can really impact you, and audio design and music in general in games can really have a profound impact on your experience in the game. And so from the pitch, what I gathered was, and what I heard, the audio that I heard within the video itself influenced me and impacted me to choose it. Right. That's one thing there. I think the other thing is just the idea that you can do storytelling in non-traditional ways without having to use voiceovers or without having to use a whole bunch of text on the screen, right? That kind of stuff. That's what it struck me there. I went with Monster Hunter Generations as the number 2 thing, and I didn't really explain too much for why, but I think it probably struck me in an opposite way to how Journey struck me, which was that I like games sometimes that whatever, you don't have to. There doesn't need to be a grand story around this, and there doesn't need to be like a crushing audio design or whatever. There just needs to be like a solid gameplay loop that's very simple, and you can pick this up and you can go through that loop and you can put it down and you're happier for it and you move on and you can come back to it if you want, that kind of thing. And I think that's like a really important thing to have in your video game library. And so for video games, I kind of went number 2 there. And then number 3 was The Witness for me, and it was all around the concept of the bigger concept of learning how to learn and the importance of learning, the importance of continuous improvement and all this kind of stuff. And that is a big thing for me, and so that's why it ended up there. Yeah, that's it for me.
I mean, I pretty much said everything. I'm running a bit out of juice. I'm a little bit tired and a bit hungry. But Journey is a game that I've been meaning to pick up for a while, actually.
Likewise.
Because I have played Sky. And I've streamed Sky and EG actually as well. It was a great time until I got to these monsters. They still creep me the fuck out, I swear to God. But what I like about this type of game is that you explore because you have to. And you learn these bits and pieces about the story of the game and the world. Like Simi already said, it's just such a very nice way of storytelling that feels so non-intrusive and tickles that little cat of curiosity in all of us, where it's just like you just want to take a peek into the world to like figure things out more. And I feel like that's just something that makes it an essential at the end of the day, because it's a really sweet way to just sit down and enjoy a moment of peace.
So, Semi, how does it feel to be a winner?
Weird. I really didn't expect it at all. As soon as I
Not
saw
just
this
the
go,
winner, the
I
most
was like,
winner
oh
that has
man.
happened.
What do you mean? You deliver us a presentation like this and you expect not to win?
See, that's because I'm a perfectionist and I was nervous as hell, and I was like, I can't talk live. It'll be a mess. I need to make a video, and so
I mean,
Yeah.
it's perfectly valid. I mean, like Lucor does it as well. So in the other time slot. So I mean, if that's the way you want to get your point across, like completely valid. The poll is over.
It
Disco
is.
Elysium has won the chat poll.
nice.
And the witness survives so it can be brought back.
So it can find a better champion.
It's
So-
fine, as expected. I expected this.
So the bottom ones are Street Fighter 6 and Marvel Rivals.
I still fully
unfortunately.
expect everyone to show up for an EG Degen Sunday stream to play Marvel Rivals, just so you guys know.
Okay.
I would love for somebody to show me the ropes. So yes.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah,
So-
that was a lot of fun.
Can everyone be Jeff?
I don't know if it's still on, but there is an event right now where everyone is Jeff. So get in while you can. Be Jeff. It's like Splatoon, but with Jeff.
Pretty much.
Rainy, did you want to talk about your vote?
Adam?
Oh, I was just saying, did you want to talk about your votes?
Oh, sure. I don't think like Journey's not my kind of game, but I had to vote for it because I just think that the language barrier thing is what really sold me. I think EG is all about inclusivity. and that is just such an amazing idea mechanically. It's beautiful. It really is. And I think the use of the video presentation was smart because it's a beautiful game. Like, you know, the music, just everything. It's just a perfect little gem, and that's exactly what this is for. I gave my second vote to Disco Elysium. Yogi's passion when he was talking about it was just oozing. Like, it makes me want to play it. Like, it was a still image, so you had the kind of the least to work with presentation wise, but just the way you described it just really hooked me. It's exactly the sort of game that is my cup of tea. Tabletop mechanics, you know, it has intrigue and there's a lot of narrative depth to it. And then third choice was a tough one. I ultimately went with Street Fighter. That was the only one I was a little bit biased towards. It's the only one I've got any experience with, but it is a really good entry point into the series. Kind of, Athen talked about the modern control scheme and things. It does have the story mode, so I think as far as kind of making a genre essential, it does that well.
Right. My first was Journey, of course, because everyone's first was Journey. And yeah, I really am just echoing what everyone else said. And honestly, I think actually Sydney put it best. I even repeated it whenever I was like explaining my votes. It just really kind of oozes what I think of when I think of EG Essential. Like, it has, you know, this really creative take on narrative storytelling. It has, you know, really, really wonderful inclusivity, like, baked right into its mechanics. It's gorgeous. It's a contained experience that's meant to take you literally from point A to B and to, like, show you something beautiful and give you this wonderful experience on the way. And I've wanted to play it for years, and this has absolutely moved it, you know, from way in the backlog, mostly because of memory, to definitely to the forefront of my mind. After that was Disco Elysium, because I love again really weird narrative, and I feel like a game that explores, you know, and really, you know, kind of takes the idea seriously of failure is not bad is really good for writing in general in an interactive medium like games, right? Because I think that it's very easy when, you know, the medium is you are doing things, and we're so conditioned to think, if I fail, like, well, I shouldn't, right? Like, that is to be avoided. And I think that a game where sometimes maybe even wanting to fail is the thing. I think that's a really important kind of piece for game writing. And then the third one I was super torn on. I ended up going with Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. But my other one was Street Fighter 6 that I was torn between, because on the one hand, I think that a game that's trying to give this entry point to fighting is like super noble and super worthy of recognition, because it's like a really impenetrable genre. As someone who's like tried to break into it several times, mostly because of having friends who've been in it for a long time, it just feels bad to try to get into when the game is catering to the people who've been there for years. And so a game that has gone out of its way to like open that door up, I think is really really worthy of recognition. But I ended up going with Monster Hunter Generations because it felt like it was more itself and essential. I think Rainey made a great case with the idea that, like, it is bundling, you know, that 20-year history of like classic Monster Hunter. And because we don't have to speculate on, like, you know, what Street Fighter 7 looks like, it's like for Monster Hunter, we know that the departure happens, right? Like, there is this like shift in how Monster Hunter games get made. And so that even though it didn't feel like it had as broad a scope as Street Fighter, it felt like it was much more kind of like quintessential in you know, like what it attempted to.
I have a final closing note from my end. I don't care which it is, but it upsets me that there's no real co-op game in the Epilogue Essentials right now. And Epilogue Gaming is all about community. I demand the next Epilogue Essential will be a co-op game.
games.
It
Isn't
has
Journey-
to be.
episode.
Isn't Journey kind of co-op in?
I mean, not in the way where you can grab a bunch of people and settle down and play the game.
Dark Souls, you could kind of do that.
It's
Ew.
also really
Awesome, but it's
limited.
not the same, yeah.
though.
In Ocarina, we could do it with mods, but I know it's not what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Like, I know Stardew was brought. I almost brought Stardew Valley. I almost brought League of Legends. Like, I brought so many co-op games. Almost. I settled on Marvel Rivals because I saw so many people in EG play it recently, so I thought it'd do see me well. I didn't expect to win, but I thought it'd do better.
I don't know that
But-
might
Yeah.
be an indictment on video games in general, though, because I'm trying to think about like some of these games that have come up, and some of the games where you think like it's the all time kind of greats are these like really focused things that have been predominantly single player or
Yeah.
they look
Yeah.
2-player, 3-player maximum. The
They're
bigger
looking to be personal.
Yeah, they always have like there's just by virtue of going that broad, then they open themselves up to all these kind of issues that happen.
Yeah.
That then act as a detractor to getting them in. But who knows? Maybe there is something that's. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting question, and I hope that somebody investigates and tries
Yeah.
to pitch on that.
Well, so
Oh, sorry, go on. No, please.
I was gonna say, I don't say this as a placation. I say this legitimately. It's not about winning. It's about what people bring. Like I was thinking about bringing 1,000-Year Door, which probably would have had a much better chance to win.
Hey,
But
that was actually
everyone
what I
knows
was
that
considering.
So I decided to bring something that really means something to me, and the same for you. So like, I'm sure there's been co-op games talked about in other essentials and stuff. I think if we even saw one person, whether it's from the panelists or the chat, if one person picks up the game that you brought, that's a win to me.
I just
I think
wish
it's
that we
best to-
had a co-op game as an Epilogue Essential. Is I think that was like the statement that I wanted to make for future episodes. I wish my request is that we have a co-op game in Epilogue Essentials.
Skew your votes, co-op people. You heard her.
Stardew Valley robbed by Ocarina of Time, says Streaming Falcon. You heard it here first.
Honestly, based and true.
I'm
As
sorry.
someone who it was just it's hard to argue with it being an essential. Kind of writes itself. But I think for Rivals, I really wanted to make it one of my 3, and I just couldn't get myself there because I grew
I
up
understand why.
on so many online multiplayer games, and I've just watched them die. Like, just not even not a good death either. Like, they're usually really bad deaths. And I just fear that like TF2 would have been the shoe-in in my mind for an online multiplayer game that would be an Epilogue Essential, but it died like a couple of years before I ever found EG. But because it's not even necessarily only about the game, I think is the issue, right? Is that it's they live and die by their player base because that is what makes the game is playing against other people, right? And I think that's a really difficult, kind of arena to make a game be timeless when, by its design, you're looking at a rotating player base, right? Like it's a rotating experience by its nature.
So bring League of Legends, okay?
Hey, that would be a good option.
No, I'm joking. The winners absolutely deserve to win. Like
I agree.
I
Agreed.
gave my 2 points to Disco Elysium as well, because like I'm definitely gonna pick both of these games up because they seem right up my alley. And if I can, I have to check my bank account, but I might actually get Monster Hunter on sale.
Yeah, chat. Monster Hunter on sale. Let's go. Get your Switches out. Get on.
Use my affiliate link. Don't forget.
Whoa! This has been paid advertisement. Oh.
Marvel Rivals, you know, like, come on.
Yeah, that's fair. If Rainy can chill, I guess Rainy can too.
Yeah,
I think I got paid for that, bro.
I think there are games I could argue, you know, with a multiplayer aspect to be essential, but yeah, I feel like I wanted to bring something that was just, I feel like it's so different, or you know, I'm bringing something that you really like and enjoy and can just talk about for however long. 5 minutes is not enough, which is why we've had like 25
Agreed.
minutes of questions afterwards, because we just want to talk about all these games. So yeah, I really appreciated it, and thank you all for joining me at the
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
and congratulations to Journey and to Disco Elysium, I guess.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much.